Chapter 53. Chapter 53, Jian Wushuang showing his strength. Since all of you have agreed, let's go, said the sturdy man as a chilling smile appeared on his face. Then he quickly turned around and disappeared into the corridor with his companions, leaving Jian Wushuang and the other two to fight with the pack of Tianhuan sect disciples. Bastards. Damn it. Seeing that, Yin Min and Ling Tianhao cursed in rage with a peevish expression on their faces. This is troublesome. Jian Wushuang also felt a little worried. Including those four, along with Jian Wushuang, Yin Min and Ling Tianhao, if these 7 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm masters fought together, they would easily defeat these Tianhuan sect disciples. However, with those 4 leaving, the remaining 3 had to fight with 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples, a dozen profound spiritual Sea Realm and initial spiritual Sea Realm Tianhuan sect disciples. The situation was instantly at its worst. Haha, your companions seem to have abandoned you. Poor guys, prepare to get trashed. All the disciples of the Tianhuan sect laughed at Jian Wushuang and the other 2, lunging at them directly. Swordsman Haozi, let's fight. Yin Min shouted to Jian Wushuang and desperately rushed into the battlefield. I'll take 3 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples. I'll count on you to handle the rest too, several profound spiritual Sea Realm and initial realm disciples, Yin Min said in a deep voice. It was her ultimate limit to fight with 3 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples at the same time. Let me take these 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples. Jian Wushuang's words surprised Yin Min. Before she could reply, Jian Wushuang ran in front her with amazing speed and collided with the Tianhuan sect disciples. Whoosh! Suddenly a bright dazzling sword light swept across the 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples simultaneously. What? How dare he fight with all 5 of us at the same time? He must be suicidal. Kill him. Those 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples became furious and lunged towards Jian Wushuang. But when the dazzling sword light swept, zooming, the horrible sword essence rose suddenly and sharply. Watch out. The 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples hurriedly changed from attack to defense. But when they came into contact with the sword light, these 5 figures fell back with 5 loud thumps. Shoop, 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 shoop. The wild sword shadows almost instantaneously spurted from Jian Wushuang's hands. The amazing speed of Aurora swordsmanship had soared to an incredible level ever since Jian Wushuang comprehended the sword essence of Gale. It's so fast. Amazing. Be careful. The Tianhuan disciples shouted with voices full of fear. Although the 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples tried their best to withstand the sword shadows were too fast and arrived too quickly. Even though the sword shadows swept to 5 of them at the same time, it was still too fast to resist. Clang, 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 clang. The sounds of clanks were heard one after another. The 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples were hit by dozens of sword attacks, and 3 of them seemed to be unable to parry. Beep. A sword flash swept towards the throat of those 3 disciples. Chi. The 3 figures immediately fell backward. Damn it. Run. Seeing that, the Tianhuan sect disciples began escaping crazily with almost no hesitation. The 2 remaining exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples also lost the courage to fight with Jian Wushuang. The only thing they could do was run. He's too strong. Even with 5 of us together, his swordsmanship was so fast that he killed 3 of us in the blink of an eye. We'll all die here if we do not run. The 2 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples were aware of the insurmountable gap between Jian Wushuang and them. Naturally, they did not dare to fight with Jian Wushuang anymore. Run. A cold voice without a hint of emotion rang out near one of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples. The disciple raised his head in horror, only to find Jian Wushuang standing in front of him and the triple kill sword stuck in him. No. The disciple only had time to make an unwilling roar before he was immediately killed. You are the owner of the interspatial ring. I can't let you get away from me. After killing the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciple, Jian Wushuang grinned and took the interspatial ring off the disciple's finger. As for the Tianhuan sect disciples that escaped, Jian Wushuang was not in the mood to chase after them. Swordsman. Swordsman. Jian Wushuang turned his head, finding Yin Min and Ling Tianhao with stunned expressions on their faces that were hard to describe. Jian Wushuang stroked his nose and then laughed in his sleeve. Last time he deliberately lost to Dong Fangyu so he would not stand out, making people think he was weak. And during the mission this time, he still hadn't found a good chance to prove his ability because of Yin Min. He had finally reached the point where he could not hide it anymore. His strength shocked Yin Min and Ling Tianhao. Jian Wushuang killed 4 real exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples in an instant. What kind of strength was that? Yin Min knew that if she fought against 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples, she could barely resist for a while before eventually losing. In the end, she would die even if she killed one of 2 of them by risking her life. Which meant that Jian Wushuang's strength was much more tremendous than hers. "Ha, swordsman, I admire you so much." When Ling Tianhao regained himself, he laughed and gave Jian Wushuang a bear hug. "Swordsman, you hid your strength this whole time?" Yin Min asked seriously. "Yes," Jian Wushuang said and nodded. There was no sense in denying it now. "You fought with 5 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples on your own and killed 4 of them in a short time. This level of strength is not something me or Dongfang you can compare with. Swordsman, you disguised yourself pretty well," Yin Min said with a smile. The 4 who abandoned Jian Wushuang, Yin Min and Ling Tianhao, gloating as they were surrounded by the Tianhuan sect disciples, were still very close. They were hiding in a room near the courtyard and heard everything Jian Wushuang and Yin Min said. Chapter 54. Chapter 54, Haunting Like a Ghost. You'll see, even though Yin Min boasts immense strength, there is a large number of Tianhuan sect disciples at the level of profound spiritual Sea Realm and initial realm, as well as 5 disciples at exceptional spiritual Sea Realm. This kind of battle will definitely make them suffer, the stout man said gloatingly. But only a short while later they saw Jian Wushuang kill 4 of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples swiftly and cruelly, while the remaining Tianhuan sect disciples fled. The 4 of them were stunned. "It's impossible. Unbelievable. That swordsman, how could he be so strong? I can't believe that he killed 4 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm disciples in such a short time. How could that happen?" The 4 of them felt it was impossible. Meanwhile, they recalled the words they heard in Golden Dragon's subsidiary palace. It was about Dongfang Yu defeating Jian Wushuang in only 3 moves. Today we personally witnessed swordsman's strength. How was it possible that he couldn't resist Dongfang Yu? You must be kidding me. I would rather believe that Dongfang Yu was defeated by him in 3 moves, roared the stout man. How could his incredible strength be overcome by Dongfang Yu in 3 moves? That was ridiculous. It is a relief that we didn't have a real conflict with them or, the stout man spoke in a relaxing tone. He counted himself fortunate to have never turned against Yin Min, even when she took interspatial ring away from him. He felt terrified when he thought of Jian Wushuang's immense power. "Go. Be quick," the stout man roared. "We should keep away from these 3 people until the mission is finished. All in all, we used them just now and they might hold a grudge against us. I'm afraid that they will fight against us next time. Go. Hurry up." The others nodded and intended to escape in panic. "Hey, do you see that?" said the woman in purple. The strong man turned his head at once. Suddenly his expression became weird. "It's them? It's Dongfang Yu and his followers. They arrived just now and met swordsman just in time." The 4 were just about ready to leave, but at this moment their steps suddenly stopped. On the corridor, Jian Wushuang and his companions also noticed Dongfang Yu and his followers. "It's Dongfang Yu." Yin Min and Ling Tianhao glanced at Jian Wushuang with queer complexions. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and smiled slightly but said nothing. "Dongfang Yu, you are like a ghost, constantly haunting us," Yin Min said in a cold voice and cast a glance towards Dongfang Yu. "Yin Min, I'm surprised that the 2 trash following you are still alive. Lucky guys." Dongfang Yu appeared in front of them, speaking with an arrogant voice. "Let's get to the point. Yin Min, since you guys have been in the Tianhuan sect for a while now, I bet you have an interspatial ring, right?" "Interspatial ring?" Yin Min said with a sneer. Then she stretched out her right hand as a light purple ring shined dazzlingly on her 4th finger. "Here it is. If you want it, come and take it." At the sight of the interspatial ring on Yin Min's hand, the eyes of the 5 people behind Dongfang Yu brightened and a flash of heat appeared in their eyes. "Oh, you really do have one. But only 1 ring." Dongfang Yu sneered at her and turned his head to his 5 followers. Then he said, "Let's go." The people following Dongfang Yu hesitated, but eventually they left with him. However, Dongfang Yu glanced at Jian Wushuang and Ling Tianhao as he left and said in a low voice, "You 2 trash are very lucky to have Yin Min as your pillar. But there are only 10 interspatial rings. Even I only managed to get 1 of them. How dare you expect to get them? Dong Fangyu left once he finished speaking. What a contemptuous look. But he would never think that our swordsman has the second interspatial ring, Ling Tianhao said before pursing his lips. I'm surprised he didn't bother us. That was my fault. I should have given the ring to you, Haozi. If Dong Fangyu knew an interspatial ring was in your hands, he would definitely try to take it from you without hesitation. She was definitely hoping to see Dong Fangyu try to take the ring just now. If he had started a fight, Jian Wushuang would have instantly given him a lesson. But Dong Fangyu had no desire to snatch the interspatial ring when he saw that it was in her possession. Things would totally change if the interspatial ring was Ling Tianhao's. Haozi, the second interspatial ring, it's yours. Jian Wushuang gave the ring to Ling Tianhao. Swordsman, what happened to you? Ling Tianhao looked at Jian Wushuang in astonishment, instead of accepting the ring. I need you two to do me a favor. Jian Wushuang said directly. How can we help you? Min also turned to face him. See this attic? Jian Wushuang stared at the attic beside him and said with a smile, I want to cultivate alone in this attic with no interruptions, so I need you two to safeguard me. Cultivate? You want to cultivate now? Min and Ling Tianhao both felt astonished. Did you have a breakthrough? Min asked spontaneously. Yes, Jian Wushuang said and nodded. Really? Min and Ling Tianhao were both surprised. They believed the fighting capacity of Jian Wushuang was already incredible among people in the spiritual sea realm. If he made a breakthrough, he would probably reach the gold core. Primordial gold core, a level they hope to reach someday. I need some time to cultivate, but I don't know how long I will need. Maybe our mission will finish before I'm done with my cultivation. So the second interspatial ring naturally belongs to you, Haozi. After all, it's your last chance to attempt the Golden Dragon Guard mission. If you fail, you will never be able to become a Golden Dragon Guard for the rest of your life. But it's not the same for me, Jian Wushuang said while smiling. I see. Ling Tianhao understood, so he nodded his head with a smile and said, Thanks a lot. You can count on us to guard this area. We won't let anyone disturb you. Thanks, said Jian Wushuang. Then he smiled and went straight into the attic. Min and Ling Tianhao stood guard in front of the attic. The stout man and his companions witnessed it all because they were still near the courtyard. What is Swordsman doing? Why did he go into the attic? Did he suddenly comprehend something? Is he going to make a breakthrough? Will he reach the gold core? Their complexions became uneasy. The strength of Jian Wushuang was already so terrifying. What kind of level would he reach after he made a breakthrough? Don't mind what he does. From now on, if we meet the three of them, we turn round immediately, the stout man said and left with the others in a hurry. Chapter 55. Chapter 55. Breakthrough into the Ultimate Spiritual Sea. It was true Jian Wushuang was about to achieve a breakthrough, but not in the way that Min and the others thought he would. The breakthrough was not into the gold core but the spiritual sea realm. No one knew that Jian Wushuang, who could easily kill an expert that had achieved the exceptional spiritual sea realm, had not even entered the realm yet. He sat cross-legged inside the attic, where a boundless spiritual power was beginning to come together inside his body. Having reached the top of the 9th heaven of Divine Path 3 months ago, his breakthrough would happen at any given time. Earlier, while fighting 3 experts of the exceptional spiritual sea realm, he unexpectedly noticed signs that his spiritual power was about to break through. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a breakthrough. Naturally, he did not dare to make any delays. Others are in the realm of spiritual sea, but I'm in the ultimate spiritual sea. Jian Wushuang smiled. In the first place, the heavenly creation skill was heaven-defying cultivation method. Cultivating the skill was an act in defiance of the natural order. With every step, he was defying nature and becoming extraordinary. Ordinary martial arts who cultivated the spirit path were in the spiritual realm of 7 realms of spirit steps. Martial artists cultivating the heavenly creation skill, on the other hand, was in the 9 heavens of divine path. The typical warrior would be in the spiritual sea from spiritual power, while those who cultivated the heavenly creation skill would break through into the ultimate spiritual sea. I wonder what's the so-called expansion of the ultimate spiritual sea? Jian Wushuang felt excited. Inside him, his condensed spiritual power was charging at the barrier of his breakthrough, crashing into it. The spiritual power only made impact several times for breaking the barrier. The rest of his spiritual power instantly flowed into all his tendons and vessels. Here came the ultimate spiritual sea. He finally understood the ultimate spiritual sea really was after the breakthrough. It's the amount of spiritual power. I've only broken through into the spiritual sea realm, but there's so much more spiritual power in my body. I'd say it's 10 times more than the ordinary spiritual sea realm warrior. Surprise crossed his face. Compared with the spiritual sea from spiritual power of ordinary warriors, the spiritual power of ultimate spiritual sea is vaster. The spiritual sea realm was divided into 3 levels, namely the initial, profound and exceptional realm. There would be a vast improvement in spiritual power in every level advancement, but it was a different story for ultimate spiritual sea. Instead of having the profound realm and initial realm stages, the ultimate spiritual sea had 3 levels that increased the amount of spiritual power with each advancement. Now that Jianghu had entered the first level of the ultimate spiritual sea, his spiritual power was 10 times the amount of spiritual sea realm warrior. In stage 2 of the ultimate spiritual sea, his spiritual power would be 100 times the amount of spiritual sea realm warriors. If he reached stage 3, then his spiritual power could be described as truly endless. The amount of spiritual power available should not be taken lightly. Warriors need a strong foundation of spiritual power whether to fight with others or display their martial arts. If they exhaust their spiritual power from a prolonged battle or tricky martial arts, they could only wait to be killed. And what did an endless spiritual power meant? That meant if he was fighting someone of a similar strength, he could rely on his endless spiritual power to prolong the battle and wait for his opponent to exhaust his own. This was truly an unbelievably strong advantage. However, through all 3 levels of the ultimate spiritual sea, only the amount of spiritual power would increase and not strengthen itself. That was to say, his spiritual force outbreak would remain consistent throughout. This was unlike ordinary spiritual sea realm warriors who would see a great improvement in their spiritual power outbreak with each level breakthrough. But that did not bother Jianghu. It's only normal that spiritual power outbreak doesn't improve. After all, his spiritual power outbreak was already comparable to that of the exceptional spiritual sea realm when he was at the peak of the 9th heaven of divine path. If his spiritual power increased to its peak after achieving the final level of the ultimate spiritual sea, could anyone still survive after fighting him? My spiritual power outbreak? He closed his eyes and made a fist. He felt the explosive power in his hand, experiencing a far stronger energy than he had ever felt. A smile came to his face. I've now broken through into the ultimate spiritual sea. Though I won't see any improvements in my spiritual power outbreak in the 2nd and 3rd stage in the future, my current spiritual power outbreak is now good enough to surpass an expert of the gold core realm. He was only in the 1st level of the ultimate spiritual sea, yet he had spiritual power outbreak of a primordial gold core. His spiritual power, in particular, surpassed that of ordinary spiritual sea realm warriors. This was the ultimate cultivation of the sky after the expansion of the ultimate spiritual sea. Just as Jianghu was marveling at his breakthrough, something else was going on in the underground secret chamber of the Tianhuan sect. Shadows wrapped in black robes appeared one after another. The screams above are getting fainter. Looks like the fighting is coming to an end in the Tianhuan sect, a man with silver mask said. The warriors of the Golden Dragon Palace have been fighting above for nearly 2 hours, enough time for them to wipe out the entire sect twice. Most spiritual sea realm warriors of the Tianhuan sect had already been slaughtered. Most who remained had already fled, with only a handful still scattered in the corners of the sect. Basically, the fight was about to be over very soon. But just then something happened. Boom. The door to the secret room was kicked open, followed by the sound of hearty laughter. Ah! I didn't expect there's a secret room inside the Tianhuan sect. What's in this room? All the robed men inside the secret room instantly became cold when they heard the laughter. The door of the secret room opened and 4 shadows stepped one after another. If Jianghu were here, he would definitely recognize them at a glance, for they were the ones who had framed him in the past. The minute the 4 men stepped into the secret room, the 9 robed men all glared at them with a deadly coldness. The silver-masked man's gaze was even more severe, piercing enough to stab a human heart like a sword. Oh! Feeling the glares of the robed men, the 4 men seemed like their hearts had momentarily stopped beating. That stout man opened his mouth wanting to say something. But in that instant, the silver-masked man instantly disappeared. When he reappeared again, he was already standing behind the stout man. The stout man's eyes rounded. He felt a warm sensation in his throat and found only gushing warm blood when he touched his throat. But The four intruders collapsed on the ground. The silver-masked man suddenly spoke, his cold voice reverberating inside the secret room. Since we're already exposed, there's no longer any need to hide. Follow me and just kill our way out. I'd like to see who dare stop me. Chapter 56. Chapter 56. Death to those who stop me. Dong Fangyu stood on the roof of an attic, looking cold. He had 5 experts following him earlier, but now one was missing. There were too many spiritual Sea Realm warriors in the Tianhuan sect. Though Dong Fangyu and his 5 companions of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm were strong, it was not enough for them to rampage through the sect. Not too long ago they even lost one of their companions in a fierce battle. It's been 2 hours. Those Tianhuan sect warriors that weren't dead had all fled. There aren't many of them left. We found 3 interspatial ring. I suppose the rest have found the remaining 7, said Dong Fangyu. The 4 people behind him appeared grim. Dong Fangyu would definitely claim one of the 3 things while they had to share the remaining 2. 2 of them were destined to go back empty-handed, failing to accomplish the mission. These 2 interspatial ring. Dong Fangyu was just about to assign the rings between themselves. Boom. When they felt a terrifying aura suddenly emerging, the 5 of them immediately turned toward the source of the aura. They saw robed shadows appearing one after another, all wearing masks and bearing intense murderous intentions. The one who was the most striking was the man with the silver mask. He was the source of the terrifying aura they felt earlier, so strong that Dong Fangyu could not help the change in his expression. Gold Core. It's an expert of the Gold Core realm. There's actually an expert of the Gold Core realm in the Tianhuan sect. Everyone from the Golden Dragon Palace was also shocked after sensing the fearsome aura. The difference between the primordial Gold Core and the spiritual Sea Realm was like heaven and earth. Even Dong Fangyu, who was close to achieving the Gold Core, would be defeated by an expert of Gold Core realm. Worse, he could even be instantly killed. The fearsome aura burst forth from within the silver-masked man, seemingly forming a great storm. When the man charged forward, the storm seemed to be swept away. Death to those who stop me, the man roared, creating a commotion in the Tianhuan sect that had just recently fallen into a brief silence. Let's go fast, Dong Fangyu said. Together with his 4 companions, he jumped off the roof in haste and disappeared. He was afraid to even show up in the robed men's line of sight for fear of them targeting him. Whoosh! A figure abruptly appeared before the group of robed men. It was none other than the gray-clothed elder, Mr. Oh. Are you people from the Blood Feather Tower? Mr. Ho appeared grim. He did not expect there would be so many assassins of the Blood Feather Tower to be hidden within the Tianhuan sect. Good that you know. The silver-masked man relaxed when he saw the man before him was a mere gold core warrior and realized that the Golden Dragon ambassador was gone. He sneered and said, Our Blood Feather Tower doesn't intend on making enemies with the Golden Dragon Palace. Today you're here to destroy the Tianhuan sect. That has nothing to do with us. We just so happen to witness it. In that case, then I ask you that you leave immediately. In addition, you're not to fight with these rookies who have just accepted the mission of the Golden Dragon Guard. Otherwise, Mr. was said in a low voice. As the #1 assassination organization of Tianzhong dynasty, the Blood Feather Tower did not have a pervasive influence in the Tianan province. But it was better not to provoke them if there was not a need to. Don't worry. We just want to leave this place. We naturally won't hurt them as long as they don't stop us. The silver-masked man smiled. He glanced at the 8 black-robed men beside him and said, Let's go. Kill anyone who dares to get in our way. Yes. Their figures blurring into mere shadows, the black-robed men jumped onto the pavilion roof and started leaping from one roof to another. Whether it was the remaining Tianhuan sect disciples or the rookies from the Golden Dragon Palace, none dared to stop the impressive sight of an expert of Gold Core realm leading 8 exceptional spiritual Sea Realm warriors. Just then Jianghu had stepped out of the attic after breaking through into the ultimate spiritual sea. The moment he came out, he instantly sensed the terrifying aura permeating the Tianhuan sect. He immediately leaped to the roof, finding Yin Min and Ling Tianhao already there. Those are. Yin Min and Ling Tianhao noticed many robed silhouettes leaping across roofs, charging in their direction. They were particularly frightened by the terrifying aura bursting from the silver-masked man. They both immediately recognized the silver-masked man. It's a Gold Core standout. 1 gold core and 8 profound spiritual Sea Realm warriors. They're heading in our direction. Let's retreat. They did not hesitate and also warned Jian Wushuang. Swordsman, hurry up and leave. But Jian Wushuang did not show any signs of wanting to escape. He remained rooted in place, staring coolly at the robed shadows before him. Black robes, masks. Blood Feather Tower. He muttered these 3 words through gritted teeth, as a burning killing intent raged within him. He swiped at the men with a ringing sound, releasing his sword essence. The majestic stream of murderous intention and sword essence merged together to be one and flew up to the 9th heaven. The incomparably mysterious power within his body, the power of sword soul, in his body seemed to be gradually awakening at the same time. Jian Wushuang had unsheathed his triple-kill sword in a flash and stood coolly on the roof of the attic as if he was the king of swordsmanship, dominating everyone's lives and deaths, drawing everyone's attention to him. Swordsman, hurry up and go. Yin Min and Ling Tianhao were surprised to see Jian Wushuang not escaping. Instead, he was standing there bearing a strong intention to battle it out with the robed men. In every corner of the Tianhuan sect, the surviving warriors who had accepted the mission were all standing on rooftops. They had also spotted the figure emitting a strong fighting desire. It's him? It's the swordsman? These people recognized Jian Wushuang. What is this trash trying to do? He must have gone mad with fear. 8 of those black-robed men were exceptional spiritual Sea Realm warriors, and the last was even an expert of Gold Core Realm. He should have retreated after seeing such a group. Dongfang Yu said, he's really digging his own grave. Chapter 57. Chapter 57, Swordsman, Outburst of Power. On the roof, Jian Wushuang had the aura of a master swordsman as he stared at those black-robed men with a chilling expression. Both sides continued moving towards each other. The black-robed men fiercely raced across the rooftops. Upon noticing Jian Wushuang standing in their way, their eyes flashed with killing intent. Kill him, said one of the black-robed men. Like to said to Mr. Well, they only wanted to leave. But if someone wanted to stop them, they would attack and kill them without hesitation. Jian Wushuang was clearly planning to stop them. Swordsman, retreat. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Yin Min and Ling Tianhao shouted widely at Jian Wushuang, but Jian Wushuang did not move at all. Retreat? Should I retreat? Impossible. Jian Wushuang roared in his heart. He was too weak 4 months ago, so he could only run away while being chased by a great number of silver and golden masked assassins from the Blood Feather Tower. But now, for months later, everything had changed. More importantly, his opponents were just 1 silver masked assassin and 8 copper masked assassins. They were not strong enough to make him retreat. Since he did not have to retreat, he would fight. This is war. I couldn't afford to stand out in the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace because there were too many people around. But everything that happens during the Golden Dragon Palace task is top secret. No one would dare to spread the information. So I don't have to worry about drawing attention or my true strength being revealed. Jian Wushuang raised his head, looking at them with cold eyes that were void of any emotion. He moved directly in front of the black-robed men and abruptly swung his triple-kill sword. The first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. The speed of his sword flashed out. At this moment, it was even more incredible, cold, and harsh than ever before. On the roof, except for the silver-masked man, the other 8 black-robed men saw a dazzling sword light move towards them, with the reflection in their eyes growing larger. The sword light was too fast. A hint of panic could be felt coming from the 8 black-robed men. In the next moment, the sword flash swept past the necks of those 8 men without any obstruction. The 8 black-robed men fell down without making a sound. All of a sudden, the whole Tianhuan sect went dead still. Silence, dead silence. Everyone in the Tianhuan sect was shocked by this terrifying sword speed. On top of the roof, the silver-masked man in a black robe was the only one still standing in front of Jian Wushuang. He glanced at the black-robed men who had all just died and felt frightened. He also saw the stroke from Jian Wushuang. The only one stroke swept past the necks of the 8 men at an amazing speed, killing all 8 of the exceptional spiritual Sea Realm assassins from Blood Feather Tower. Who are you? The silver-masked man in a black robe asked with unprecedented seriousness. I am Swordsman, Jian Wushuang answered indifferently. I only want to leave here. I'm not trying to impede your task and I'm not a person from the Tianhuan sect. I shouldn't be a target from your task, the silver-masked man in a black robe said in a low voice. It has nothing to do with the Golden Dragon Palace. You were all dead the moment I saw you, Jianghu said without any emotion. Let's see who die first. The silver-masked man in a black robe turned into a stream of light and appeared in front of Jianghu. A dark red dagger pierced the air and immediately moved towards Jianghu head with an unprecedented speed. At the same time, a gruff voice from the silver-masked man in black robe rang out. Go to hell. The eyes of the silver-masked man in a black robe were filled with killing intent. As an assassin at the silver mask level in the Blood Feather Tower, his first move was a slaughter move. Ridiculous, said Jianghu. Smiling indifferently, he charged toward the killer. This seemingly casual sword move was the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. The speed of the sword light was unbelievably quick. That was the sword movement. The gray-robed elder Mr. Hua concentrated on this rooftop fight in the near distance. He looked serious. Sword Essence of Gale, he grasped a sense of the sword essence of Gale. And his understanding of it is very deep. The sword movement was so quick. Yes, the speed was very fast. The dark red dagger had not reached Jianghu, yet the sword light from Jianghu attack had already moved towards the silver-masked man in a black robe. Clang. As a deep metal crash sounded, the silver-masked man suddenly felt a strong power surge through his dark red dagger. The power of the clash instantly numbed his hands and forced him to retreat. The silver-masked man gaped in shock at Jianghu. He hasn't reached primordial golden core, but his spiritual power is as strong as mine. More importantly, his swordsmanship is faster and superior to mine. Sword essence. Yes, he has grasped a sense of sword essence. It was no wonder that the silver-masked man in a black robe was so stunned. He could tell that Jianghu had not reached the level of primordial golden pill yet. After all, spiritual power had a qualitative change once it reached the level of primordial golden pill. Once it was released, spiritual power at the primordial golden pill level couldn't be hidden. He didn't sense an aura at the level of the golden pill from Jianghu. So he was sure that Jianghu had not reached the level of primordial golden pill realm. This alone was enough to thoroughly surprise him. He has reached the peak of initial gold core realm, and there was only one step away from profound gold core realm. He used a slaughter move, but he was thoroughly defeated by Jianghu, who had not even reached the gold core yet. What does it mean? Run. The silver-masked man in a black robe instantly made a decision. He could only run. As an assassin, speed was his strong point, so he fled for his life. However, the speed of Jianghu was much faster than his. Trying to escape? Jianghu said indifferently. What? The silver-masked man in a black robe was astonished and filled with a sense of bitterness. Warriors with a sense of the sword essence of Gale are best at speed. Go to hell, Jianghu said while releasing a strong killing intent. It was the second move of anonymous swordsmanship, sword-killing movement. A dazzling and bloody sword light appeared. This strike is even faster and stronger than the previous one. The silver-masked man in a black robe was full of despair and he even gave up on fighting back at this moment. The dazzling bloody sword light easily slashed out through his neck. Spurt. The silver-masked man in a black robe at the level of initial gold core realm was lying dead on the ground. Chapter 58. Chapter 58, Contemptible Scoundrel. In Tianhuan sect, everyone was surprised to see the silver-masked man in a black robe falling down. He was as proud as a peacock just now and said that no one could stand in his way. But he was killed by someone else in only a second. And it was a person who accepted a one-clawed gold dragon guard mission. Swordsman, he unexpectedly killed a gold core realm expert. He killed all 8 people in the exceptional spiritual sea realm and even the expert in the gold core realm. He couldn't even run away. Is he the same swordsman who could not take 3 moves from Dongfang Yu? He can kill innate gold core realm experts, but he could not take 3 attacks from Dongfang Yu. Everyone was shocked by what they had just witnessed. As for Dongfang Yu, his expression was extremely funny. How was that possible? Dongfang Yu murmured. His eyes were empty. He simply could not believe it. He killed 8 people in the exceptional spiritual sea realm. He even killed the gold core realm expert in 1 move. That man didn't even get a chance to run away. What level was his strength at? And it was the same man that could not take 3 moves from him during recruitment that did it? He couldn't believe it. He recalled what he said to Jian Wushuang at the beginning of the mission. You are just a waste. There are so many people in the Tianhuan sect that can kill you. His words had been full of disdain. Thinking back to those words, Dong Fengyu's complexion became very pale. He suddenly realized that Jian Wushuang must have lost on purpose. After killing the silver-masked man in a black robe on the roof, Jian Wushuang looked over and noticed Dong Fengyu inside the courtyard. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang moved swiftly towards Dong Fengyu, appearing in front of him in a second. Whoosh! An icy sword edge hit Dong Fengyu's throat. Hand over your interspatial ring or you will die, Jian Wushuang said coldly without any emotion. Dong Fengyu moved his throat, clearly sensing the icy sword edge, remembering the recent death of the man of Gold Core Realm. He had no doubt that Jian Wushuang could do it. The four people behind Dong Fengyu had disdained Jian Wushuang earlier, but now they did not even dare to breathe. Should I refuse? Dong Fengyu roared in mind. His small and fragile self-esteem fought with his reason, but in the end, his reason prevailed. While trembling, Dong Fengyu handed over an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang without too much hesitation. Jian Wushuang took the interspatial ring and smiled. He looked Dong Fengyu up and down as if he was a contemptible scoundrel. Finally, Jian Wushuang withdrew and sheathed the triple-kill sword, walking away without a single word. Dong Fengyu and the four people sighed with relief after Jian Wushuang went away. At that moment they were totally soaked in sweat, especially Dong Fengyu. He was still trembling even now. Suddenly Dong Fengyu turned to the four people behind him. An interspatial ring was taken away by swordsmen. That means only 2 people can finish the task now. Dong Fengyu looked gloomy. Then the complexions of the 4 people behind Dong Fengyu turned serious. Yin Min and Ling Qianhao were waiting in the courtyard. It didn't take long for Jian Wushuang to arrive. Ling Qianhao moved towards Jian Wushuang and smiled. Haha, swordsman, innate Gold Core Realm, a real Gold Core Realm expert was killed by you. You are so awesome. You were indeed awesome, swordsman. Yin Min gave Jian Wushuang the thumbs up. Well, the reason why your strength improved so much was because you had made a breakthrough, right? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The reason that he was able to kill the 8 in the exceptional spiritual sea realm with only 1 stroke and even kill the silver-masked man in a black robe, who was at the peak of the initial Gold Core Realm, was because he made a breakthrough and reached the ultimate spirit sea. As a result, his spiritual power improved to a level similar to an average warrior in the Gold Core Realm. If he had not made a breakthrough, he could not have killed the silver-masked man in black robe so easily. We should leave here, Jian Wushuang said. What about the ring? Ling Qianhao asked. Don't worry. I took an interspatial ring just now, Jian Wushuang said. Oh. Yin Min and Ling Qianhao both felt surprised. I saw Dong Fengyu and snatched an interspatial ring from him just now, said Jian Wushuang, smiling weirdly. After hearing that, both Yin Min and Ling Qianhao showed great interest. Haha, swordsman, did you confront Dong Fengyu? Ling Qianhao looked excited. I don't think Dong Fengyu has enough courage to fight with you. He must have handed over the interspatial ring immediately. Haha, I wonder how terrible the expression on his face was, Yin Min said and laughed. Certainly it must have been very ugly, Ling Qianhao said and also laughed. Both Yin Min and Ling Qianhao had some kind of beef with Dong Fengyu, so they disliked him. But they both could not contend with him. So it was reasonable for them to be so excited when they heard that Dong Fengyu suffered a defeat on Swordsman's hand. Jian Wushuang only shook his head and smiled. In his eyes, Dong Fengyu was just a contemptible scoundrel and could not make a difference at all. Outside this gigantic valley, the gray-robed elder Mr. Wu waited quietly. Some warriors in the one-clawed gold dragon guard mission had recently returned. Mr. Wu didn't pay any attention to them though. However, when Jian Wushuang, Lin Min and Lin Tianhao came back safe and sound, everyone immediately looked in their direction. Swordsman. Although he only reached spiritual sea realm, he killed an expert in primordial gold core. It was too awesome. The people who witnessed the death of the 9 black-robed men had complicated expressions while they looked at Jian Wushuang more carefully this time. Even the gray-robed elder Mr. Wu gave Jian Wushuang a friendly smile. Mr. Wu said gently, Well done, kiddo. Thanks, Jian Wushuang said modestly. Please wait for a while, said Mr. Wu with a smile. Chapter 59. Chapter 59, Invitation. The experts who had accepted the task came back one after another. Dong Fangyu, followed by the brown-haired man, was the last to arrive, but his appearance looked a little unnatural. "It's good that there are still 15 people alive in the end, Mr. Hua said indifferently with a casual glance. However, everyone else looked awestruck. More than 30 people at the exceptional spiritual sea realm accepted this mission, but only 15 people survived in the end. In other words, more than half of the people died during the mission. Some were killed by disciples from the Tianhuan sect, while the ones killed by fellow examinees is probably not only a few. Jian Wushuang thought secretly. Take Dong Fangyu for example. He was followed by 5 martial masters in the beginning, but now there was only the brown-haired man who was seriously injured. So it was very clear to Jian Wushuang how the other 4 people had died. "Everyone who has an interspatial ring should give it to me," said Mr. Oh. Among the 15 people who survived, 10 stepped forward to hand in their rings. At which point Mr. Wu took out a list and recorded their names. After recording their names, Mr. Wu waved his hand and threw them gold rings. "These are your gold dragon rings. The claw marks represent your rank in the Gold Dragon Guard. 1 claw mark stands for 1 clawed Gold Dragon Guard while 2 stands for 2 clawed Gold Dragon Guard. From this day forth, you are members of the Gold Dragon Guard," Mr. Wu said loudly. After receiving the rings, Jian Wushuang and the other 9, who had completed the task, immediately used their blood to bind the rings. "Is this an interspatial ring?" Jian Wushuang became aware of the space contained in the interspatial ring when he inspected it with his mind. Then he laughed and said, "This interspatial ring will make it more convenient to carry things. You should be exhausted after completing the task, so you can take a break before returning to Qingdong City." After saying this, Mr. Hua glanced at Jian Wushuang and said, "Little guy, come with me." Jian Wushuang felt surprised as he followed Mr. Hua to the side. "Little guy, you hid so well. I did not notice the slightest flaw when you were defeated by Dong Fangyu within 3 rounds 3 days ago." Mr. Hua glanced at Jian Wushuang with a smile. Jian Wushuang only smiled awkwardly. "If I'm not mistaken, you should have some grievances with the Blood Feather Tower, right?" Mr. Hua asked suddenly. Jian Wushuang's complexion changed immediately. "It seems that I guessed right." It was clear to Mr. Hua when he saw the change in Jian Wushuang's expression. Every action has a reason. There must have been a reason for you to prefer giving up your face and allowing Dong Fangyu to defeat you within 3 rounds at the Gold Dragon Subsidiary Palace. Yet during this mission you killed all the people from Blood Feather Tower. So, I guess that you must have a huge feud with Blood Feather Tower. Hearing that, Jian Wushuang could only shrug his shoulders, replying in a deep voice, "I do in fact have a grudge with Blood Feather Tower. Unless I die, I will never stop seeking revenge." "Unless you die?" Mr. Hua frowned. Blood Feather Tower is the #1 assassin organization in the Qianzong dynasty. Their actions are very cruel and extreme. In the Qianzong dynasty, there are many people who have grudges with the Blood Feather Tower, deathless endlessly, but Tiannan province is not the main province where Blood Feather Tower operates. Their insidious hidden strength cannot be underestimated. If you are spotted by them, you will be in a big trouble, Mr. Hua said and smiled. "But don't worry, the rehabilitation capacity of our Golden Dragon Palace is always good and in general, it's not possible to let out the course of this mission. Therefore, although you have killed several martial experts of Blood Feather Tower, you don't need to worry about being spotted by the people of Blood Feather Tower." "I know," Jian Wushuang said and nodded. "But don't worry, our Gold Dragon Palace is always good at dealing with the aftermath. In general, it's impossible for the information of this mission to be leaked. Therefore, although you have killed several experts from Blood Feather Tower, you won't have to worry about being targeted by Blood Feather Tower." "Little guy, you should have heard of Dragon Palace?" Mr. Hua asked suddenly. "Of course I have." Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. "It will be much simpler if you already know about the Dragon Palace. Are you interested in cultivating in the Dragon Palace?" asked Mr. Hua while smiling mysteriously. "Go to the Dragon Palace to cultivate?" Jian Wushuang asked while surprised. Dragon Palace was a holy place full of exceptional geniuses. Jian Wushuang has always wanted to join a group like Dragon Palace, a place which was full of geniuses and monsters. "Can I join Dragon Palace?" Jian Wushuang asked immediately. "I'm uncertain whether you can actually join Dragon Palace to cultivate. But, based on your performance in the Tianhuan sect, You can easily kill someone at the peak of initial gold core realm in just 2 moves while you are only in spiritual sea realm. This is incredible and you can absolutely be called a monster, so you have a very good chance of entering Dragon Palace. Therefore, if you are willing to wait, I will ask for a Gold Dragon Ambassador to come and verify your actual strength once we return to Qingdong City. As long as you can gain the recognition and recommendation of the Gold Dragon Ambassador, you will have a chance cultivate at Dragon Palace. Mr. Hua paused and glanced at Jian Wushuang afterwards. So I'll ask you now, do you want to go to Dragon Palace for cultivation? Yes, of course I do, Jian Wushuang nodded and said immediately without any hesitation. Dragon Palace was a holy place for cultivation. Numerous talents in the Tianzong dynasty were eager to join and cultivate, and Jian Wushuang was no exception. After all, a warrior who cultivated blindly by himself could become an expert, but compared with warriors who had a lot of resources and were instructed by experts, he would still be inferior. Jian Wushuang possessed remarkable ability in swordsmanship because he had followed his father in practicing swordsmanship since he was a child. Therefore, he knew very well that there was a large difference between having a teacher and learning on his own. Haha, I will immediately arrange for you as you wish after returning to Qingdong City. In addition, it doesn't matter if you eventually didn't enter into Dragon Palace, but once you enter into Dragon Palace, you needn't care about Blood Feather Tower. Because Dragon Palace will protect its talented disciples strictly, even Blood Feather Tower is hard to find chance to kill you, and even if there is a chance, they dare not to kill the disciples of Dragon Palace. Mr. was said with a smile. After hearing these words, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up again. What was he most worried about? It was not having the chance to grow up and become stronger, the chance that Blood Feather Tower did not want to give him. If he joined the Dragon Palace, he could grow up slowly over the next few years under the protection of the Dragon Palace. He would even have a chance to grow strong enough to make the Blood Feather Tower treat him seriously, maybe even fear him. Chapter 60. Chapter 60, Yi Roughing. Jian Wushuang returned to where Yin Min and Ling Tianhao were after his conversation with Mr. Oh. Brother Swordsman, what did His Excellency say? The impatient Ling Tianhao immediately asked. He asked me if I want to join the Dragon Palace, Jian Wushuang said. Join the Dragon Palace? Ling Tianhao stared at him wide-eyed. The Dragon Palace? Yin Min was also looking at him in shock. The warriors who accepted the mission with them also overheard Jian Wushuang's answer and their expressions changed. Some looked envious, some appeared shocked, and there were also those who shot him looks of longing. Dong Fengyu's expression in particular was complex beyond measure. He still remembered how his great master Zhu Tao had been complimenting him on his ability to join the Dragon Place when they were in the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace. He said Dong Fengyu only lacked someone to recommend him. But Mr. Hua did not even spare him a glance. Yet Mr. Hua had taken the initiative to invite Jian Wushuang to join the Dragon Palace. The way he treated them both was too dramatically different. Humph. So what if Mr. Hua is willing to play matchmaker? The recommendation list is with the Golden Dragon Ambassador, not Mr. Hua. Even if Mr. Hua has the recommendation list, it's not like he'll be able to join the Dragon Place if he wants to. Dong Fengyu was feeling a deep envy toward Jian Wushuang. Now listen carefully. The sonorous voice of Mr. Hua suddenly reverberated as his gaze traveled around the place. The missions issued by our Golden Dragon Palace have always been secrets. Though you've joined the mission, you mustn't reveal anything about it, whether it's the process or the result. If it is leaked and we find out it's you, we'll kill you no matter who you are. Everyone looked serious. No one dared to defy the rules of the Golden Dragon Palace. Well, let's go back to the Qingdong City. With a wave of Mr. Hua's hand, everyone immediately embarked on their way back to the Qingdong City. They all felt tense when they made their way here, but much more relaxed now that their mission was done. Those who had officially become the one-clawed Golden Dragon Guard were in especially high spirits. Before long, they made it back to the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace in the Qingdong City. The second they reached the place, Mr. Hua immediately said to Jian Wushuang, "Young man, come with me to see the Golden Dragon Ambassador." Sure. Jian Wushuang nodded. Brother Swordsman, I really need to thank you this time. Go ahead and see the Golden Dragon Messenger. When you return, we must have a good drink, said Ling Tianhao, smiling. Haozi and I will be waiting for you at the Celestial Immortal Residence with good wine, Yin Min said with a smile. No problem. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. He then followed Mr. Hor in the direction of the inner hall of the attic. When they came to an empty secret room, Mr. Hor said, "Wait here for a moment. I'll go meet the Golden Dragon Ambassador." "Thank you." Jian Wushuang nodded. Mr. Hor was not gone for long. Soon, he returned with a grim-looking middle-aged man dressed in a crimson robe. Jian Wushuang had met this man before. It was none other than the Golden Dragon Ambassador who had killed 14 experts of the Gold Core realm of the Tianhuan sect. He immediately bowed. "Your Excellency, Golden Dragon Ambassador." "Hua Man, is he the young man who you mentioned has the chance to cultivate in the Dragon Palace?" the middle-aged man asked. "Yes, his name is Swordsman," Hua Man replied. "Swordsman? It's probably a pseudonym." When the middle-aged man looked at Jian Wushuang, he felt as if he was being targeted by an ancient fierce beast. "I'll introduce myself first, young man. I'm Yi Ruffing, and as for my rank, you should be aware that I'm the Golden Dragon Ambassador of the Golden Dragon Palace," Yi Ruffing said slowly. "Earlier Hua Man has told me about you and he spoke highly of you. But the recommendation list to enter the Dragon Palace is in my hands. So if you want to join us for cultivation, you must first display enough talent to satisfy me." "I understand." Jian Wushuang nodded. "Good. I'll be your opponent. Show me all that you've got and remember, you don't have many opportunities," Yi Ruffing said. "Yes." Jian Wushuang took a deep breath, his expression turning solemn. As what Yi Ruffing had mentioned, he truly did not have many opportunities. "Golden Dragon Ambassador, I'll start." He was already gripping his triple kill sword and a strong fighting desire rose in him. "Feel free to come at me." Yi Ruffing had his hands behind his back and wore an indifferent expression. Anonymous swordsmanship, sword-killing movement. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold as he gathered his killing intent. A stream of dazzling bloody sword essence burst forth. His killing intent rose sharply at that moment, before being pushed to its peak. Yi Ruffing was surprised. "Oh, it's the formless swordsmanship?" He, as the Golden Dragon Messenger and the strongest warrior at the Yin-Yang Void Realm, was naturally familiar with the so-called first in the world, the formless swordsmanship. He did not use any martial arts technique or show any of his amazing cultivation of spiritual power. With a simple wave of his sleeves, he easily defused Jian Wushuang's strongest sword move. When he was done, he stretched out his fingers. Clang. He caught the edge of the triple kill sword like a pincer. No matter how much Jian Wushuang struggled, he could not move the sword out of Yi Ruffing's firm hold. "This?" Jian Wushuang was greatly shocked. He had long known that Yin-Yang Void Realm warriors had impressive strength, but he did not expect it to be this strong. After making a breakthrough into the ultimate Spirit Sea level, he could kill the strongest initial Gold Core realm with ease. But now the strongest move he could use was so easily defused by Yi Ruffing, to the point where his sword was even being controlled by mere fingers. "You're already pretty good to be able to use the second type of the formless swordsmanship to this extent." Yi Ruffing was still holding the triple kill sword in place, but he was now smiling at Jian Wushuang. "You imbued the sword essence of Gale in your swordsmanship and you also have a high comprehension of it. Not bad. Not bad at all." He finally loosened his grip, allowing Jian Wushuang to retrieve his sword. "It's a shame that I don't have a swordsmanship suitable for the sword essence of Earth. Otherwise," Jian Wushuang balled his hands into fists, feeling unsatisfied with the outcome. He had comprehended sword essence of Gale and sword essence of Earth at nearly the same time. Though he comprehended the former earlier, he later realized that he comprehended sword essence of Earth faster and ended up doing just that in the Dark Forest in the past 3 months. Thus, he had a better comprehension of the sword essence of Earth. Unfortunately, he did not have a suitable swordsmanship to display it. Take his strongest move, the anonymous swordsmanship, as an example. It emphasized on speed and was most suitable to be used with the sword essence of Gale. When paired with the sword essence of Earth, it not only seemed out of place, its might was also reduced greatly. Chapter 61. Chapter 61, Going Through the Dragon Gate. "Gold Dragon Ambassador, what do you think about this little guy?" Hua Man asked. "His comprehension of the sword principle of Gale is good." Yi Ruffing smiled slightly and looked at Jian Wushuang, then continued, "Little guy, how old are you?" 17, Jian Wushuang replied. "Only 17? Yi Ruffing and Hua Man both had a surprised expression. Then Yi Ruffing laughed and said, You are excellent considering your high comprehension of the sword principle of Gale. Little guy, you should prepare yourself to go to the Dragon Palace with me in 2 days. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up because he understood that Yi Rufeng recognized his talent and was going to recommend him. Thank you so much, Gold Dragon Ambassador, Jian Wushuang said immediately. You are welcome. It will also benefit me if you really become a disciple of Dragon Palace. Yi Rufeng gave a wave. Jian Wushuang nodded and then he left. Qingdong City, Celestial Immortal Residence. Brother Swordsman. Swordsman, how did it go? Yi Min and Ling Tianhao had been waiting for him since earlier. The Gold Dragon Ambassador promised to recommend me. But it's not guaranteed that I can join Dragon Palace, Jian Wushuang said. Haha, based on your strength you should definitely be able to. Come on. Cheers, Ling Tianhao said and smiled. Jian Wushuang grabbed the wine cup and had a toast with Ling Tianhao. Although the time that he had been acquainted with Yi Min and Ling Tianhao was not long, he found that they were a spontaneous and merited group after getting along with them. The status of a Gold Dragon Ambassador is high and he knows a lot regarding Dragon Palace. Also, a Gold Dragon Ambassador has a limited number of recommendations, so each recommendation is important. Since the Gold Dragon Ambassador recommended you, it means that he thinks you have the ability to make it through the test to join Dragon Palace, Yi Min said. Jian Wushuang nodded secretly. Indeed, Yi Rufeng was well informed on the situation inside the Dragon Palace. Since he was willing to recommend him, it meant that he was confident in Jian Wushuang. Haha, based on that, you will definitely be able to join and cultivate in the Dragon Palace. Come on. Cheers. Cheers. Congratulations. Ling Tianhao said instantly. Jian Wushuang and Yi Min also lift their cups. The three of them were drinking with passion. 2 days later at the Golden Dragon subsidiary palace. Little guy, are you ready? Let's go, Yi Rufeng said. Jian Wushuang nodded and then he left the city with Yi Rufeng. Now they were outside of the city. Grasp my hand, Yi Rufeng said. After grasping Yi Rufeng's hand without hesitance, Jian Wushuang felt a special power gathering beneath Yi Rufeng's feet. Subsequently, the figure of Yi Rufeng was floating and then Jian Wushuang also began floating. Boom. They left at an incredible speed. Is this Void Walk? Jian Wushuang was surprised and became even more eager to reach the Yinyang Void Realm. The distance between the Dragon Palace and Qingdong City was equal to the most remote provinces. It would take 1 or 2 months to rush to the Dragon Palace if Jian Wushuang walked there on his own. But now it would only take 1 day to rush to the Dragon Palace under Yi Rufeng's lead. Is this the Dragon Palace? Jian Wushuang was still floating in the air, overlooking the boundless ground in astonishment. Below him, he saw an area between 2 giant mountains, full of magnificent palaces and pavilions that towered above the ground. In the center, a statue of a gold dragon was coiled up, appearing as if it was flying to the 9th heaven. Let's go down. Yi Rufeng dived down along with Jian Wushuang. Upon reaching the ground, many figures appeared in front of them. These people all wore the same golden armors and helmets, holding golden long spears. When they saw Yi Rufeng, they paid their respects instantly and said, "Your Excellency." Where are the 2 palace masters? Yi Rufeng asked directly. They are both staying at the Dragon Gate, a golden-armored sergeant, a leader among them, said. Oh, the Dragon Gate? Is there an exceptional genius going through the Dragon Gate Pass? He should be fascinating if he drew the attention of the 2 palace masters, replied Yi Rufeng. Yes. He is new but his talent is unbelievable. It's said that he has made it through the 6th layer, said the golden-armored sergeant. What? The 6th layer? Yi Rufeng was shocked and then waved his hand saying, "Carry on with your duties. I'll go meet the 2 palace masters on my own." Okay. Those golden-armored sergeants went back to work immediately. However, they could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang as they left. Jian Wushuang's expression was serious. Once those golden-armored sergeants were gone, he could not help asking, "Your Excellency, those sergeants are all experts in the Gold Core realm?" Yes. And their strength is at the peak of the Gold Core realm. Yi Rufeng smiled casually and continued saying, "Those golden-armored sergeants are the emperor-guarding army that is well known in the Tianzong dynasty. They specifically guard the Imperial Palace and some other important areas. They are the most elite and violent force in the Tianzong dynasty. The battle strength of the army is astonishing. The minimum strength required to become a sergeant in the emperor-guarding army, the peak of the Golden Core realm." What? Jian Wushuang was astonished. The minimum strength required for normal sergeants was the peak of the gold core realm. Little guy, I have heard from Huaman that you have a great enmity with the Blood Feather Tower, and that it's irreconcilable. Is that right? Yi Rufeng asked while looking at Jian Wushuang. Yes, Jian Wushuang said and nodded. Don't worry about the Blood Feather Tower. As long as you can make it through the Dragon Palace's test and become a disciple of Dragon Palace, you will be protected. The Dragon Palace is located at the campsite of the Emperor Guarding Army. There are many experts. The Blood Feather Tower has no way to kill you in the Dragon Palace, even if they sent all of their experts here, said Yi Rufeng. Jian Wushuang believed him. Your Excellency, is the Dragon Gate that the sergeant mentioned also the testing area for joining the Dragon Palace? Jian Wushuang asked. You are clever. Yes, a carp jumping into the Dragon Gate means that you are successful. Every disciple who joins and cultivates in the Dragon Palace has to make it through the Dragon Gate Pass. That is the test you must pass, Yi Rufeng narrated. The test in the Dragon Gate is special. It doesn't test your cultivation, spiritual power, or your martial arts technique. It tests your comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. The Dragon Gate has total 13 layers. The first layer requires comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. The higher your comprehension, the more layers you go through. Under normal circumstances, the minimum for joining the Dragon Palace is to make it through the third layer. Because your swordsmanship was executed using your comprehension of the sword principle of Gale, I think that you are very likely to make it through the third layer. That is why I recommended you, Yi Rufeng said. Based on my comprehension of the sword principle of Gale, it is very likely that I can make it through the third layer? Jian Wushuang's expression became strange. From what the golden armored surgeon said earlier, a new person like him that just arrived was currently going through the Dragon Gate and had already passed through the sixth layer. Chapter 62. Chapter 62. Peerless Genius Yang Zishuan. Okay, this is the Dragon Gate. Yi Rufeng led Jian Wushuang to a towering golden pavilion. At a glance, the pavilion appeared to have 13 levels. At the moment, many people were standing in front of the golden pavilion. The two most prominent people were an old man wearing a black robe and a graceful woman dressed in white. Even though Yi Rufeng was an expert, upon seeing these two people he bowed to pay his respects and said, Greetings, Palace Master Black and Palace Master White. Yi Rufeng. The graceful woman in white looked at him and Jian Wushuang, then said with a smile, You brought this little guy to go through the Dragon Gate. Yes, said Yi Rufeng with a nod. You will have to wait a minute. Someone else is already going through the Dragon Gate now, said the graceful woman in white, then she turned her head immediately. Yi Rufeng and Jian Wushuang had no choice but to wait quietly. Jian Wushuang lifted his head and looked at the towering golden pavilion. The lowest 6 levels of this 13-level golden pavilion were shining. Jian Wushuang knew it meant that 6 levels had been passed by the genius that was currently going through the Dragon Gate. Currently, the genius was making his way through the 7th level. Suddenly, the 7th level of the golden pavilion also burst out with a golden light. He passed the 7th level. Yi Rufeng shouted out in shock. Many others outside of the golden pavilion also shouted out in surprise. Sir Yi, is it amazing that he passed the 7th level? Jian Wushuang couldn't help asking. Amazing. It is really amazing. Yi Rufeng nodded seriously and said, I have told you that moving through the Dragon Gate is based on your comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth. It's likely that you could make it through the 3rd level with your comprehension of the sword principle of Gale. But it's hard to say if you could make it through the 4th level. As for the 7th level, it's a huge bottleneck. Generally speaking, only someone with comprehension equal to an expert in the yin-yang void realm can make it through. In other words, if someone gets through the 7th level, it means that his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth is not less than an expert in the yin-yang void realm? Jian Wushuang was shocked. How strong was an expert in the yin-yang void realm? How high was an expert's comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang could not imagine it. However, he knew that the amount of time he spent comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth was short. Although he reached a certain level of understanding, there were numerous people whose comprehension was higher than his just among experts in the gold core realm. As for the yin-yang void realm, he was too far away from them. If going through the 7th level is amazing, how about the 8th level? Jian Wushuang asked. Suddenly, the 8th level of the golden pavilion immediately burst out with golden light. He passed through the 8th level. The 8th level, Yi Ruffing had a shocked expression. No wonder the two palace maiders of Dragon Palace came, a marvelous new member has appeared. Even before cultivating in Dragon Palace, he can already pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. There's no doubt that he'll make greater progress after cultivating in Dragon Palace. His achievements will be even more spectacular. He is really a peerless genius. Yi Ruffing was full of praise, but Jian Wushuang only gave a shrug after listening to his explanation. He was just good in the eyes of Yi Ruffing, but the genius going through the Dragon Gate was praised by Yi Ruffing. With this, it's easy to see how amazingly talented he was. Going through the 8th level of Dragon Gate represented that his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth had surpassed many experts of the Yin-Yang Void realm. It also induced a burst of surprise outside of the Golden Pavilion. However, the 8th was the limit. The 9th level of the Golden Pavilion did not light up in the end. Jingle. The gate of the Golden Pavilion opened. Wearing a blood-red robe with a blood-red saber on his back, a young man slowly appeared before the eyes of the crowd. Everyone looked at the young man for the first time, including Jian Wushuang. He was slender and handsome with a hint of indifference and pride on his face, a glimmer of an unyielding will was hidden in the deep of his eyes, and he emanated an aura of coldness. The man is cold. Jian Wushuang frowned secretly. Haha, little guy. Welcome to Dragon Palace. The Black and White Palace Masters, as well as the nearby experts of the Dragon Palace, all greeted him with a smile. Little guy, what's your name and how old are you? Palace Master White asked with good intentions. Yang Zixuan 21, he replied in a cold voice. Everyone who heard him was immediately surprised. 21. He is only 21 years old, yet his comprehension of the essence realm of heaven and earth is already so high. He managed to pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. The most dazzling talent in Dragon Palace only made it through the 8th level. Awesome. Our Dragon Palace will become boisterous. Bai Qing finally has a rival. Many disciples of Dragon Palace that were present were talking about that. A 21-year-old man had gone through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. Even in Dragon Palace it was incredible. He was the most exceptional one among all the exceptional geniuses. After all, previously, there had only been one person that made it through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. And he was known as the #1 genius in Dragon Palace, Bai Qing. Yang Zixuan is amazing, Yi Ruffing said, then sighed with emotion. Having sighed for a while, the Black and White Palace Masters looked at Yi Ruffing and Jian Wushuang. Yi Ruffing, you can let this little guy you brought go through the Dragon Gate now, Palace Master White said, completely ignoring Jian Wushuang. The Palace Masters had a high status, so the geniuses who had gone through the Dragon Gate were only worth a glance to them. Only a peerless genius like Yang Zixuan could excite the two Palace Masters and receive their enthusiastic treatment. Little guy, you should go. Remember, you should try your best to go to the highest level you can reach, said Yi Ruffing. Okay, said Jian Wushuang, then he nodded and went straight towards the Golden Pavilion without paying attention to the gazes of the people around him. He quickly entered the Golden Pavilion. The first level of the Dragon Gate. A red-haired man was sitting cross-legged on the empty ground. When Jian Wushuang walked inside, the man suddenly glared at Jian Wushuang and said, Little guy, if you beat me you can go to the next level. Come on. As soon as he finished speaking, the red-haired man began to brandish his large axe, which was surrounded by a blast of invisible airflow. In an instant, the large axe slashed toward his opponent. Jian Wushuang immediately swung his triple-kill sword to block the blow. Then he directly took the chance to strike back, scratching the garment of the red-haired man. Obviously, the red-haired man was defeated. He made it through the first level. Chapter 63. Chapter 63, the 4th level. On the first floor, the opponent I met was good at axemanship, but he did not comprehend any of the essence realm of heaven and earth. Therefore it was easy to defeat him. Jian Wushuang thought privately, then he entered the second floor. The opponent he faced on the second floor had comprehended a trace of the essence realm of heaven and earth. It was the Gale essence, but only the initial stage, so Jian Wushuang still defeated him easily. On the third floor, Jian Wushuang faced a much stronger opponent. After all, one must pass through the third level at the least to enter Dragon Palace. Naturally, it was more difficult. Go to hell. An ice-cold sword light flashed before disappearing in an instant. In the end, Jian Wushuang defeated him with the first move of anonymous swordsmanship. On the fourth floor, Jian Wushuang's opponent was a black-clothed elder, who held a purple soft sword in his hand. Zijiu. Another ice-cold sword light flashed. Once again it was the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. Formless swordsmanship? The black-clothed elder smiled slightly and said, "What a coincidence, I can use the sword essence of Gale too." The same ice-cold dazzling sword light appeared in the black-clothed elder's hand. They were brandishing two of the same sword shadows with the same sword essence. Not only that, both of them released nearly the same spiritual power because the opponent was from the Dragon Gate. Clang. The two sword edges met. What? Jian Wushuang was astonished and downcast. He could clearly tell that the swordsmanship used by the gray-clothed elder was faster than his, even if it was only by a little. His comprehension of the sword principle of Gale is higher than mine. Jian Wushuang realized immediately. Sword-killing movement, Jian Wushuang followed with the second move of anonymous swordsmanship. Haha, it's useless. In the Dragon Gate, the real test is in your comprehension of essence realm of heaven and earth. Martial arts technique and swordsmanship don't make a big difference here. Besides, I can use sword-killing movement too. The killing intent from the purple soft sword in the black-clothed elder's hand exploded, attacking with a sword light which was equal to the one Jian Wushuang released. Once again, two equal sword lights met, and the black-clothed elder suppressed him again. Little boy, give it up. You are too weak in the sword principle of Gale to pass the fourth level, the black-clothed elder said with a smile. Really? Jian Wushuang's expression became serious, then he said, "What about this move?" After saying that, a heavy sword essence was released. Jian Wushuang swung his long sword with great momentum. Earth sword essence? The black-clothed elder's expression changed. It's not easy to comprehend the essence realm of heaven and earth. Comprehending one was difficult, to comprehend two at the same time was much more difficult. Yang Zixuan, who passed through the 8th level just now, was a super genius that comprehended two at the same time. The black-clothed elder didn't expect that the little guy standing in front of him, who was under 20 years old, not only had a high level of comprehension in the sword essence of Gale, but also comprehended earth sword essence at the same time. A sword shadow with great momentum rushed straight towards him, as if it could chop up a mountain. After perceiving the great amount of power contained in the sword shadow, the black-clothed elder's countenance changed a little. He didn't fight back recklessly, quickly choosing to dodge it instead. However, before the elder could use his sword to attack, Jian Wushuang changed his sword essence again. He used the sword essence of Gale along with the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. He can shift between the sword essences of Gale and Earth so easily? The black-clothed elder was surprised and smiled bitterly. The sword essences of Earth and Gale. One was massive and majestic with power and influence, while the other was flexible and visionary. If he could perfectly transition between them, these two sword essences would produce a terrible power which the gray-clothed elder could not oppose. The 4th level of the Dragon Gate, passed. As for the 5th level, the opponent Jian Wushuang faced also comprehended the sword essence of Earth. Not only that, he was stronger than Jian Wushuang in sword essence of Earth comprehension and used it more freely. Jian Wushuang tried his best, fighting with him for quite a while. But finally he was defeated, causing him to stop at the 5th level. When Jian Wushuang walked out of the Golden Pavilion, all the experts of Dragon Palace that were waiting outside looked at him. Passing through the 4th level is good enough, so he is qualified to enter Dragon Palace. However, there is a large gap in skill between him and Yang Zixuan. An extraordinary genius like Yang Zixuan is rare. It is impossible to come by two in a single day. Everyone in the area was secretly discussing it. "Little guy, what's your name and how old are you?" Palace Master White walked to him and asked directly. "Swordsman," said Jian Wushuang, still chose to use this pseudonym, 17 years old. 17 years old? Everyone in the area was astonished, including both of the Palace Masters. Then Palace Master White smiled and said, "Ha, good. It seems that we have one more genius. It's rare for a 17-year-old kid to pass through the 4th level of the Dragon Gate. You could be ranked between middle and upper among the many disciples in Dragon Palace." Palace Master Black, who stayed silent, nodded in agreement. "Yi Ruffing, you brought a good disciple to Dragon Palace." Palace Master White looked over at Yi Ruffing. "I just did my duty," said Yi Ruffing, remaining humble. Yang Zishuan, swordsman, from now on, you are both disciples of Dragon Palace. Congratulations for becoming one of the many monsters in Tianzong dynasty, said Palace Master White with a laugh. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan stood side by side. After hearing this, Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and Yang Zishuan was indifferent as always. Come with me. I will take you to visit Dragon Palace, said Palace Master White, intending to escort both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. Suddenly the surroundings totally calmed down. A white-haired man wearing white slowly walked into the people's sights. His hair is as white as snow, the strongest genius by Cheng. The strongest disciple in Dragon Palace. It's him. He actually appeared. As he approached, all the disciples of Dragon Palace watched him with grim looks on their faces. Is he Bai Cheng? Jian Wushuang slightly squinted his eyes while hearing Bai Cheng's name mentioned in their discussion. The strongest person in Dragon Palace? Yang Zishuan raised his head and saw the white figure, with cold and prideful eyes, walking slowly in their direction. The white-haired man in white stopped. His black eyes, full of arrogance, swept over them as the sides of his mouth stretched upwards to form a meaningful smile. I heard that a newcomer passed through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate today, so I wanted to see for myself. Chapter 64. Chapter 64, ranked at the bottom. Palace Master White, may I know which one of these two passed the 8th level? Though he seemed kind and gentle, there was a trace of insidious coldness inside his eyes when looking at Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. Palace Master White instantly introduced them one by one, starting with Jian Wushuang. This is Swordsman, 17 years old. He passed through the 4th level. Oh. Bai Cheng glanced at Jian Wushuang with a faint smile and said, the 4th level. He would be ranked at the bottom among the many disciples of Dragon Palace. But he's young. If there are no accidents, it's possible for him to pass the 7th level before 20. He can reach the same level as Golden Dragon Ambassador Yi and would barely be an expert in the Tianzong dynasty. Hearing what he said, Yi Ruffing smiled faintly and ignored it. He did not dare to show any disdain. However, Jian Wushuang frowned and felt unpleasant. I might reach the level of Yi Ruffing. I might barely become an expert. Even I can't imagine what I might achieve in the future. What makes Bai Cheng think he can judge me with one glance in such a condescending manner, acting as if what he says will definitely come true in the future? How arrogant and conceited can he be? Even though he was unhappy, he didn't openly offend Bai Cheng. This is Yang Zishuan. He is the one who passed the 8th level and he is currently 21 years old, replied Palace Master White. Bai Cheng turned to face Yang Zishuan and fixed his eyes on him before saying, to pass through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate at 21 years old, you're promising. In Dragon Palace, I'm afraid that there is no one but me who could suppress you. You mean you are stronger than me right now? Yang Zishuan's expression fell. Bai Cheng didn't answer him, he just smiled confidently. Palace Master White, no one is in the Dragon Gate, right? Bai Cheng asked. Yes. Palace Master White nodded. Okay, I have not been tested in a long time. Today let me give it a try. After saying that, he immediately entered the Dragon Gate. Both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan, who were supposed to leave, stopped and looked carefully at the Golden Pavilion to see what would happen. After entering the Dragon Gate, Bai Cheng quickly passed through the 1st level, causing it to light up. Then he continued moving forward smoothly. He passed 8 levels in succession. Bai Cheng entered the 9th level and stayed in it for a long time before the 9th level finally lit up, releasing a golden light. The 9th level of Dragon Gate passed. He actually passed the 9th level? Yi Ruffing was shocked and couldn't say anything. It should be known that even if it was him, he would not be able to pass it, even after trying his best. However, Bai Cheng succeeded. He really was the top genius in Dragon Palace. This is the strongest person in Dragon Palace, so awesome. Though Yang Zishuan is great, he is new and young. He cannot compete with Bai Cheng yet. We thought Yang Zishuan would be strong enough to be Bai Cheng's opponent, but the truth is that he is far away from him for now. A large number of disciples of Dragon Palace in front of the Dragon Gate were discussing the recent events secretly. Not long after that, Bai Cheng walked out of the Golden Pavilion. Under the watchful eyes and shocked expressions, Bai Cheng walked over to Yang Zishuan again and smiled slightly before saying, "You'll need to work harder, freshman." After saying that, Bai Cheng left without looking back. Since Jian Wushuang only passed the 4th level, Bai Qing did not even give him a second glance. He is really arrogant. Jian Wushuang licked his lips, the battle intent vaguely rising in his eyes. Yang Zishuan, what do you think? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. About what? Yang Zishuan looked at him indifferently. I don't like him, don't you want to defeat him? Jian Wushuang asked. Crush him under my feet? He won't be qualified to be my opponent within 1 year, replied Yang Zishuan. Hearing that, the corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth quirked up. All of you are so arrogant and conceited. Okay, you are peerless geniuses, so it's normal to be proud of yourselves. Besides, you really are strong. Jian Wushuang thought. Someone who just joined passed the 8th level of the Dragon Gate, and the other one passed the 9th level. However, he could only pass the 4th level after trying his best. So there was a huge gap between him and those two peerless geniuses. The wider the gap was, the more it inspired him. There was a gap now, so what? It should be known that he had only started comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth 4 months ago. It's unbelievable to comprehend both of the sword essences of Gale and Earth to such a high level within 4 months. No matter whether it was Bai Qing or Yang Zishuan, they were both older than him and they had spent much more time comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth as well. Bai Qing asserted that I could only be a golden dragon messenger like you roughing in the future. Let's see. Jian Wushuang snorted. All right, go back to your places. Yang Zishuan, swordsman, you both follow me, Palace Master White said. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan followed Palace Master White. Yi Roughing and the Golden Dragon Messenger who brought Yang Zishuan here followed Palace Master Black to receive their rewards. These Golden Dragon Messengers had the right to recommend disciples. Every recommendation that passed the test and became a disciple of Dragon Palace would earn the Golden Dragon Messenger a reward based on the strength of the disciple. In the Dragon Palace, both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan were curiously examining their surroundings while Palace Master White was telling them the basic information and rules of Dragon Palace. Dragon Palace is a cultivation sanctuary. You both became disciples of Dragon Palace means that you are talented. In Dragon Palace, there are 238 disciples, not counting both of you. Among the 238 disciples, only one had passed the 8th level of the Dragon Gate, and that was Bai Qing. But now he has passed the 9th level. 16 disciples passed the 7th level. 67 passed the 6th level. 141 disciples passed the 5th level. The 13 disciples left past the 4th level. After saying this, Palace Master White could not help glancing at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also could not help touching his nose with an embraced expression. There are 238 disciples in total and only 13 of them were at the 4th level. Most disciples were all at the 5th level or higher. It seems that Bai Qing was right, I am at the lowest level in Dragon Palace right now. However, Jian Wushuang didn't worry about being at the bottom. It didn't mean that he would be at the bottom forever. So many geniuses are in Dragon Palace. However, the more geniuses the better for me. Jian Wushuang's eyes were sparkling with excitement. Chapter 65. Chapter 65, 4 Matchless Heroes. Dragon Palace is known as a holy place for cultivation, and it's worthy of the name. Palace Master White continued. The 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind, the secret land of heaven and earth, and the secret pavilion are the 3 treasures of Dragon Palace. They are of great help to the disciples of Dragon Palace. As for the benefits of the 3 treasures, you will gradually understand them in the future. In addition, there are also 2 places for practicing. The Dragon Gate and Heavenly Palace. The Dragon Gate, which you have just tried, is the best place to test the progress of the Dragon Palace disciples. It can accurately gauge the disciples' perception to the essence realm of heaven and earth. As for the Heavenly Palace, that is used to test overall strength. Usually no one will go to the Heavenly Palace. Only disciples who have enough strength to leave Dragon Palace will go to the Heavenly Palace. Palace Master White simply explained a few basic conditions of Dragon Palace again. Not long after that, she arrived at the manor with Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan. Each disciple of Dragon Palace will have a single house. Your rooms are also in this manor, Palace Master White informed them. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan quickly noticed that the manor contained 4 independent houses, even though the area was not big. Fatty Wang. Palace Master White's voice echoed throughout the area. "Oh, I'm coming," a rough voice echoed back. After which, a big fat man in a blouse hurried out of one room and a timid figure hurried out of another room. Jianghu Shuang looked at the two incoming people. That big fat man was not tall, but he was extremely large, weighing nearly 300 jeans. That big face, larger than an ordinary person, was covered with a smile. But the smile seemed very quirky no matter what angle you looked from. As for the other person, she was a tall and thin girl with long blue hair. A young girl who appeared to be only 14 or 15 years old. She followed the big fat man, looking down in a very shy manner. It seemed like she was afraid to make eye contact with Jianghu Shuang and Yang Zishuan. Palace Master White glanced at the big fat man and told him, "From now on, they will live in the manor with you. You can take them and familiarize them with environment of Dragon Palace." "No problem." The big fat man nodded and promised. "These are your disciple tokens which contain your points. In Dragon Palace, points are very important. Many of the resources in Dragon Palace can only be redeemed using points," said Palace Master White. Jianghu Shuang and Yang Zishuan took the tokens and examined the numbers. 2,000 points? Jianghu Shuang felt excited, then he looked at Yang Zishuan's token. He had a full 6,000 points. "I only have 2,000 points, but he has 6,000 points, 3 times mine. Is it possible that the points depend on how many levels you pass through in the Dragon Gate?" Jianghu Shuang secretly pondered. In his opinion, that was the only possibility given the situation. "Alright little guys, make sure to work hard. Many years from now, I hope to see another 2 excellent disciples emerge from my Dragon Palace," said Palace Master White, who smiled and then immediately departed. After Palace Master White walked away, the big fat man immediately looked over and introduced himself. "My name is Wang Yuan and the girl next to me is Su Ro." "Swordsman," Jianghu Shuang said. Yang Zishuan also introduced himself. "Swordsman Yang Zishuan, your arrival made the manor considerably full. Come, for the first meeting, the 4 of us need to have a quick drink," replied Wang Yuan with a smile. Then he turned up his hand and a wine pot appeared. After the stopper was opened, the aroma of the wine soon spread it out. Smelling the aroma, Jianghu Shuang smiled. While on the other side, Yang Zishuan's indifferent expression also slightly relaxed a bit. After which, the 4 of them drank in front of the stone table in this manner. After drinking a few glasses of wine in succession, the atmosphere was no longer so boring. At this time Wang Yuan said, "Swordsman Yang Zishuan, we will not live in the manor together for more than several years. It's too polite to call each other by name. What if we call each other as brothers and sisters according to age? I'm the oldest, so I'm the elder brother. Yang Zishuan, your age is only a little younger than mine, so you are the second brother. Swordsman, you the third brother. As for Su Ro, she's our 4th sister." "All right." Wang Yuan smiled and looked around. "Okay." Jianghu Shuang nodded his head. After all, they will live in the same manner in the future, the relationship among them should be better. And after drinking, the 3 of them all left a good impression on him. Wang Yuan, he was a generous and careless person without any scheming. This kind of person is the most worthwhile to make friends with, except his talkativeness. Yang Zishuan, as indifferent as he is, did not put on airs. It said that he is the one who broke into the 8th level of the Dragon Palace when he arrived. With such talent, he was still willing to sit down with them to have a few drinks. His eyes did not have the slightest bit of arrogance. For the point, making friends with him was very worthwhile. As for the last one, the little girl Su Ro, she's so timid and shy that she didn't dare to say one word while they were drinking. Jianghu Shuang felt a little strange in the beginning, but later he heard from Fatty Wang that when Su Ro was a little girl, she had been sold to a mansion as a servant girl. To be a servant girl since childhood, it's normal for her to be so timid. However, this timid little girl had a great reputation in Dragon Palace. As mentioned before, among the disciples of Dragon Palace, only Bai Cheng had passed through the 8th floor. There were 16 disciples that had passed through the 7th level and Su Ro was one of them. And most importantly this year, Su Ro was only 14 years old. The 14-year-old Su Ro broke through the 7th level of the Dragon Gate. What does that mean? So, after Jianghu Shuang and Yang Zishuan learned of her achievement, they were both astonished. Similarly, Su Ro is also worth making friends with. Therefore, after hearing the proposal of Wang Yuan, Jianghu Shuang immediately agreed. Yang Zishuan, as always, was indifferent, giving neither refusal nor opposition. As for the timid girl Su Ro, she nodded her head shyly. Haha, since there is no objection, let us make this decision final. From now on the four of us are siblings. We shall share happiness and hardship together, said Wang Yuan, then he smiled and lifted the cup for a toast. Without any hesitation, Jian Wushuang and Su Ro immediately raised their glasses. As for Yang Zixuan, he pondered for a while, then raised the glass too. Kuang. With the toasting finished, the famous Qianzong dynasty and the four matchless heroes of the heaven and the earth were born. Chapter 66. Chapter 66. Secret Land of Heaven and Earth. After drinks, Wang Yuan was hanging out with Jian Wushuang and Yang Zixuan. You two have just arrived at Dragon Palace. Let me show you around. I'll take you to the treasure troves of Dragon Palace, Wang Yuan said. All right. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zixuan nodded. Dragon Palace covered a large area and was famous for 3 treasure troves: 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind, secret land of heaven and earth, and secret pavilion. The first place Wang Yuan brought them to was 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind. Look, this is 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind. Wang Yuan pointed to the 4 pavilions which covered a wide area. Each pavilion had a gilded character engraved on the lintel: earth, fire, water and wind respectively. The 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind are where the disciples of Dragon Palace visit the most. Earth, fire, water and wind represent the 4 kinds of essence realm of heaven and earth, which are Earth Essence Realm, Raging Fire Realm, Water Drop Essence Realm and Gale Essence Realm. There are 6 temple masters in each temple. They're the top experts in the world and have reached the highest level of comprehending essence realm of heaven and earth. The reason why disciples of Dragon Palace often visit 4 temples is that the temple masters usually give lessons in the temples, displaying some martial arts techniques and giving disciples some advice. If you have any problem in comprehending essence realm of heaven and earth, you can consult these temple masters. After receiving their guidance, you might be enlightened. On hearing this, Jian Wushuang's and Yang Zixuan's eyes lit up. If I have any problem in comprehending essence realm, I can consult these temple masters? What's more, there are 6 temple masters dealing with each essence realm. The 6 temple masters in each temple should be good at different aspects. It would be superior to following a top expert. Although a top expert would try his best to teach someone, he was alone and studied only one aspect. If he encountered unfamiliar fields, he would not know how to instruct them. In Dragon Palace, 4 temples covered 4 kinds of essence realms of heaven and earth. Each temple had 6 powerful temple masters who studied various fields. Therefore, the disciples did not worry that they would encounter an unsolvable problem. Now we come to the secret land of heaven and earth. Wang Yuan led the way. Then they stood in front of a majestic palace. 2 golden-armored sergeants kept guard at the palace entrance. Wang Yuan said, Secret land of heaven and earth is special and helpful at comprehending the essence realm of heaven and earth. If you want to enter secret land of heaven and earth, you need to pay 1,000 points to access the palace, and you can only stay inside for 2 hours each time. Though it is only 2 hours, I'm sure you'll benefit greatly from each visit. Moreover, you're newcomers in Dragon Palace, so each of you can enter the palace for free 3 times. Oh, Jian Wushuang said, raising his eyebrows. He had just been surprised at the 4 temples of earth, fire, water and wind. The secret land of heaven and earth was as famous as the 4 temples. Jian Wushuang was somewhat curious about it, as the palace, with the harsh requirements to access it, must be extraordinary. How about it? Do you want to have a try? Wang Yuan smiled mysteriously. Sure. Jian Wushuang gave a little smile and then glanced at Yang Zixuan. Second elder brother, you go first. Yang Zixuan nodded and directly walked toward the palace. The 2 golden-armored sergeants stepped forwards, but immediately allowed Yang Zixuan to enter secret land of heaven and earth. 2 hours later, Yang Zixuan came out of it with a blank look. Second elder brother? Jian Wushuang frowned. Don't disturb him. He's in the state of comprehension. Wang Yuan was not surprised at all and spoke to Jian Wushuang. Third younger brother, it's your turn. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly, and then he stepped towards the secret land of heaven and earth. The 2 golden-armored sergeants walked forward again, and let Jian Wushuang enter after realizing that he was a newcomer. What on earth is stored in the secret land of heaven and earth? Jian Wushuang stepped into the secret land of heaven and earth with a flicker of curiosity. As soon as he entered, Jian Wushuang immediately felt himself surrounded by darkness. There was only a glimmer of light ahead in the endless darkness. Jian Wushuang could not help but look at the light. He was totally absorbed in it. The glimmer of light suddenly changed into a sword, which contained sword essence of gale, earth sword essence of raging fire, and sword essence of the water drop. He knew the 4 kinds of sword essence were unfathomable, although he had not comprehended the last 2. Jian Wushuang drew out triple kill sword behind him, the sword light starting to move. One after another, the ethereal sword light moved flexibly. Jian Wushuang then started to perform the anonymous swordsmanship. He easily showed the first move of anonymous swordsmanship, Blood Shadow. He did not encounter any problem either in performing the second move of anonymous swordsmanship, sword-killing movement. The third move of anonymous swordsmanship, named Expeditious Maneuver, was a terrifying killing move, emphasizing absolute speed. Jian Wushuang had not comprehended this move. He thought it was because his speed at unleashing the sword was not fast enough. In fact, it was related to his inferior comprehension of sword essence of gale. However, Jian Wushuang could not help wielding his long sword and slowly performed this move in this special situation. Boom! The sword light flashed and then disappeared with the wind. He naturally performed the third move of anonymous swordsmanship, Expeditious Maneuver. Nevertheless, it was not over. As Jian Wushuang continued to wield long sword, the sword light became grander and more massive. Every beam of the sword light contained sword essence of earth. One strike after another. Suddenly the glimmer of light disappeared. Jian Wushuang was slightly surprised and blankly stared into space. 2 hours, I've run out of time? Jian Wushuang looked into the darkness, sighing. Then he turned to leave. Jian Wushuang walked out of secret land of heaven and earth and saw his 3 sworn brothers waiting outside, but he ignored them and directly sat on the ground with eyes closed. Wang Yuan, Yang Zishuan, and Su Rou were not angry at Jian Wushuang. They knew Jian Wushuang's state and did not want to disturb him. After a while, Jian Wushuang finally breathed a sigh of relief and immediately stood up. How about it? Wang Yuan asked with a smile. Good, very good. Jian Wushuang nodded heavily. The benefits from practicing in secret land of heaven and earth for 2 hours can be comparable to that from earnest cultivation in a month. Chapter 67. Chapter 67, The Secret Pavilion. What Jian Wushuang said was the truth. He had merely spent 2 hours inside the secret land of heaven and earth but made great progress in his understanding of the sword essence. My sword essence of earth and gale have both made huge progress in the third form of formless swordsmanship. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised that those 2 hours were equivalent to his 1 month's worth of hard work or more. Same here. I made great progress too, Yang Zishuan said seriously. Ah, this is one of the 3 treasures of the Dragon Palace. The cost of entering it so high, naturally there's a high return too. You can enter the place 3 times. Since you've entered once, you must treasure your 2 remaining chances, Wang Yuan said, smiling. Come with me. I'll show you the last treasure of the Dragon Palace. They followed Wang Yuan to the entrance of a heavily guarded tall attic that exuded a faintly ancient scent. This attic is the most important of the 3 treasures of Dragon Palace, the Secret Pavilion. There are countless treasures in the Secret Pavilion, but you can only take them in exchange for points. Go in and have a look, Tianbao said. Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan immediately entered the Secret Pavilion. Inside the large and spacious Secret Pavilion, the treasures were divided into many categories. There were cultivation methods, martial arts techniques, elixir pills and exotic classes. With a heavenly creation skill that defied the natural order, Jian Wushuang had no need for cultivation methods. Neither did he need elixirs and exotic classes for now, so he made a beeline for the martial arts technique section. The martial arts technique section was divided into swordsmanship, knife methods, spear methods and so on. Jian Wushuang left Yang Zishuan's side and headed straight for the swordsmanship section. The section stored nearly thousands of rare books on swordsmanship. Fortunately for Jian Wushuang, there was a list that he could refer to. Otherwise, he might need to flip through each book to find the one on his swordsmanship. The list detailed a number of swordsmanship, a basic introduction for each swordsmanship, as well as the points needed for exchange. But just from a quick glance, Jian Wushuang realized the lowest rank swordsmanship on this list was already top-notch ones. There was also no shortage of sword skills. Sword skills were beyond the scope of so-called swordsmanship. Generally, one needed to use sword skills with a display of sword essence understanding at the same time. Formless swordsmanship. The first item he looked for was the formless swordsmanship. He found out from Yi Ruffing that the formless swordsmanship was none other than the anonymous swordsmanship. The formless swordsmanship had 9 sword movements, and what he had been cultivating was merely the simplest first 3 of the swordsmanship. Found it? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened when he found the formless swordsmanship on the list. Formless swordsmanship, the sword skill acknowledged by the Tianzong dynasty as world's number 1. It was suitable for warriors who understood the sword essence of Gale. There were 9 movements, and each was stronger than the one before it. Exchange for the first 3 movements with 200 points. Exchange for the middle 3 movements with 2,000 points. The last 3 movements are unavailable. So it's true they only have the middle 3 movements, not the last 3. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He had heard this from Yi Ruffing on their way here. Though there were 9 sword strokes of the formless swordsmanship, the most powerful latter 3 were long lost to history. The Dragon Palace might be the cultivation sanctuary of the Tianzong dynasty, but not even they could recover sword movements in a swordsmanship that had been lost. I'll need to spend 2,000 points alone just for the middle 3 movements. Jian Wushuang frowned secretly, for his current score was precisely that number. There's no hurry. Let's look at other sword skills. Jian Wushuang was not anxious to make his decision yet. He started reading the category of swordsmanship for Sword Essence of Earth Understanding. His comprehension of Sword Essence of Earth was, in fact, far higher than Sword Essence of Gale. It was a pity that he did not have any suitable sword skill to display it all this while. Even in the mansion of Sword Marquis, the first-class swordsmanship he learned leaned toward the Earth Essence. But that was not even a first-class swordsmanship, let alone a super first-class swordsmanship. It was too weak that he could not even show the might of his Sword Essence of Earth to its fullest. Therefore, his immediate priority was finding a suitable sword skill in the Sword Essence of Earth. There were many sword skills on the list that was suitable for his goals. He finally selected 3 after carefully pondering over each one. They were Mark of Earth, Immemorial Sword Skill, and Formless Sword Wave. Mark of Earth required 2,500 points, while Immemorial Sword Skill required 3,000 points. Formless Sword Wave was divided into 2 sections, with each being 2,500 points. Though each of these sword tactics has its own advantages, I think the Formless Sword Ripple seems superior. It also suits me better, but the exchange rate is higher. Jian Wushuang frowned. The 2 sections would cost him 5,000 points. At the moment he only had 2,000 points. Whatever. Since I don't have enough points for the other 2 sword skills now, I'll just not exchange for now. I'll just wait and find a way to get more points. It wouldn't be too late by then. He then left the swordsmanship section and began taking a stroll through the elixir pills and exotic classes section. There were all kinds of odd treasures and elixirs here, many of which were hard to find in the outside world. In the secret pavilion, one only needed points to get them. Before long, Jian Wushuang left the secret pavilion with Yang Zishuan. But before he left, Yang Zishuan spent 4,000 points to exchange for a martial arts technique. Jian Wushuang could only shrug his shoulders helplessly. There was nothing he could about it. Yang Zishuan had more points than him after all. When he came out of the sword pavilion, Wang Yuan came up to him. What do you think about the treasures in the secret pavilion? There are many of them, Jian Wushuang said. I've once visited the storehouse of a great power, but it's nothing compared to this place, Yang Zishuan added. Ah, of course. This is the secret pavilion of the Dragon Palace. How can those so-called sects of the Tianzong dynasty compare to? As the disciples of this place, we can redeem the treasures if we have enough points. Wang Yuan smiled. Boss Wang Yuan, how can we get these points? Jian Wushuang asked. There are many ways. I'll tell you one by one, Wang Yuan replied, immediately describing each method. First method, go through the Dragon Gate Pass. There are 13 stories in the Dragon Gate. Starting at the 3rd level, you can get 1,000 points for passing through each level. After the 9th floor, you get 2,000 points each. I heard you mention that one of you passed the 8th floor and the other the 4th. Old 2 you earned 5,000 points. Old 3 you earn 1,000 points. But every newcomer also get 1,000 points for free, so you have 6,000 and 2,000 points respectively, Chapter 68. Chapter 68, Battle for Points. The second way is to complete a task. Dragon Palace provides various tasks for experience. Some of them are difficult, some are relatively simple. You will obtain points according to the complexity of the task. The third way is to battle for points. On hearing this, both Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan were puzzled. They could easily understand the first two ways, but could not figure out what the battle for points was. The battle for points is actually dueling. Wang Yuan spoke with a smile. There are more than 200 disciples of Dragon Palace with varying strength. As exceptional geniuses, they can be somewhat arrogant. As a result, they often fight with each other in Dragon Palace. Since there are fights, there are duels and bets. As for the bets, it's up to the two duelers. Got it? Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan immediately understood. Speaking of the battles for points, third younger brother, you should be careful. Wang Yuan suddenly spoke. Why? Jian Wushuang looked at him in surprise. Wang Yuan said, I just mentioned there are three ways to get points. First, going through the Dragon Gate. Many disciples will wait a long time to challenge and they may not be successful. What's more, they can only gain a few points there. Second, complete tasks for experience. But only difficult tasks offer a lot of points. Disciples of Dragon Palace will face death trials while performing these tasks, so it's very dangerous. Only the third way, battle for points, is simple. You only need to challenge someone weaker than you and settle the bets. Disciples who have stayed in Dragon Palace for a period of time know the other disciples very well, so they won't easily accept challenges. However, you and second younger brother are different because you're newcomers. Jian Wushuang understood. You mean the other disciples of Dragon Palace will want to challenge me? Jian Wushuang asked. Right. Wang Yuan nodded. They are inclined to bully those weaker than them. You have just entered Dragon Palace, so they will treat you as a weakling. They will try their best to challenge you to a duel before you have time to use treasures of Dragon Palace to improve your strength. Of course, second younger brother is also a newcomer, but he made it through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. He's so powerful that no one will dare to challenge him. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. We'll reach the martial arts practice field soon, where many disciples of Dragon Palace gather. Battle for points is usually held there. Third younger brother, you must remember my words. If someone challenges you, you can refuse directly or just ignore them. They cannot do anything to you. Wang Yuan reminded Jian Wushuang. Refuse? Why should I refuse? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Don't be rash, third younger brother. It is not easy for you to earn points. Do not lose them by acting on impulse. Wang Yuan continued to persuade him. Don't worry. I know what to do, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. The four of them had finally arrived at the huge martial arts practice field. The martial arts practice field covered an extremely large area. There were quite a few disciples of Dragon Palace around the center of it. At the moment, all of them looked at the four people who just stepped inside. Ha, newcomers. I hear there are two new disciples. Those two must be the newcomers. The man with a cold expression is called Yang Zishuan. It's inconceivable that he has already gone through the 8th level of the Dragon Gate. He must be a monster on the same level as Bai Cheng. Yang Zishuan, an exceptional genius. We're not comparable to him. The other person was called Swordsman. I hear he only made it through the 4th level? The 4th level means that his strength is at the bottom of Dragon Palace. Going through the 4th level is worth 1,000 points. And since he's a newcomer, he also received 1,000 points for free. In other words, he has 2,000 points now. Yang Zishuan should have attracted more attention because of his brilliant results. Nevertheless, none of the disciples of Dragon Palace looked at him. All eyes were fixed on Jian Wushuang. Their eyes were full of expectation. It looks like I'm popular. Jian Wushuang noticed that their eyes sparkled with eagerness, the corner of his mouth lifted up. Haha, you are swordsman, right? A laughter could be heard along with the question. Then a red-haired young man with a saber on his back appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. The aura of spiritual power in the exceptional spiritual sea realm spread out. He said with an expectant look, I'm Zhang Tao. I hear you have gone through the 4th level of the Dragon Gate. So have I. Do you have the guts to have a fair fight with me? Looking at Zhang Tao, Jian Wushuang was delighted in his heart. The other disciples of Dragon Palace were furious. Damn it, he got there first. Zhang Tao is really fast. I hope the newcomer does not accept his challenge. Zhang Tao. Wang Yuan frowned and shouted in a low voice. It's been a year since you went through the 4th level. Now your strength has improved greatly to the point that you can challenge the 5th level. Aren't you embarrassed to talk about having a fair fight with my brother? Third younger brother, leave him alone, said Wang Yuan, winking at Jianghu Shuang. What? Are you afraid of fighting with me? If you became a disciple of Dragon Palace, you must be a genius. Don't you have the guts? Zhang Tao spoke directly, then laughed out. Zhang Tao, right? Jianghu Shuang raised his head and stared at Zhang Tao with a faint smile. You don't need to provoke me. I accept your challenge. Tell me how many points you want to bet. Cool. Zhang Tao was glad that Jianghu Shuang accepted his challenge. I know you should have 2,000 points. I will not bet for all of them, just 1,500 points. That will leave you with 500 points to choose a manual from the General Hall in Secret Pavilion. What do you think? 1,500 points? Zhang Tao, you have a huge appetite. Wang Yuan spoke angrily. It's true. He has a total of 2,000 points. Only you want 1,500 points? Isn't that too much? A disciple of Dragon Palace spoke up from the side. He also coveted Jianghu Shuang's 2,000 points. 1,500 points. It's too much indeed. Well, I can bet 1,000 points, Jianghu Shuang said. Okay, 1,000 points. Zhang Tao agreed without hesitation, secretly delighted. Zhang Tao thought that Jianghu Shuang was not his match. Jianghu Shuang had just become a disciple of Dragon Palace and had only made it through the 4th level of the Dragon Gate. Zhang Tao went through the 4th level a year ago. Since then, his strength had improved greatly with the help of the resources from Dragon Palace. Therefore, he thought he would win this fight no matter what would happen. He was over the moon when thinking about the 1,000 points. It was not a small amount for him, as it was hard to gain points in Dragon Palace. Haha, watch out. Zhang Tao spoke. He directly rushed forward. With a single stride, he appeared before Jianghu Shuang and drew the saber on his back. Chapter 69. Chapter 69, The First Win. Swish. With one chop, the air was immediately cut. So fast. Jianghu Shuang was stunned, and he thought to himself, they are undoubtedly Dragon Palace disciples. Jianghu Shuang was very calm. The movement was swift, but his sword was faster. Swish. A dazzling glare of sword light fleeted. It was still the first blood shadow move of formless swordsmanship. A clashing sound could be heard when the two swords met. There was only a slight gap between these two powers. You will be defeated, Zhang Tao said in a low voice. Ridiculous, Jianghu Shuang replied with a laugh. These two people began to display their power to its furthest extent. One used the knife and the other the sword. Their splendid speed reached its peak. Clang, 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 clang. Numerous clashing sounds could be heard. The blade lights and sword shadows were extremely rapid. Both Jianghu Shuang and Zhang Tao sensed sword principle of Gale, and it was very powerful. Zhang Tao had achieved the 4th level a year ago. Although it was not certain that he would achieve the 5th level, he had been able to fight with the level keepers in the 5th level for a long time. Jianghu Shuang did not have a deep comprehension of Gale sword principle, and he was not as powerful as Zhang Tao. But he had obtained a better understanding of sword principle of Gale during the 2-hour cultivation in the secret land of heaven and earth. Thus he was no weaker than Zhang Tao now. The sword light moved and disappeared with the wind. The third move of formless swordsmanship, expeditious maneuver. It's formless swordsmanship and it's the third move. Is this expeditious swordsmanship? Unbelievable. The surrounding Dragon Palace disciples were amazed. These disciples were familiar with the first sword skill of Tianzong dynasty, and several of them had cultivated the formless swordsmanship. All of them understood the high requirement of practicing this move. Formless swordsmanship? So what? Zhang Tao roared. The saber in his hand split straight down with a bloody light flickering. It burst out in the blink of an eye. The scarlet light of the saber hit the sword light. The sword essence changed suddenly as Jianghu Shuang twisted his wrist. It started as the sword essence of Gale, and suddenly became the heavy sword essence of Earth. What? Zhang Tao looked pale. Sword essence of Earth. The Dragon Palace disciples were shocked. It was very difficult to comprehend the essence realm of heaven and earth, and someone comprehending two types at the same time, not to mention both at a high level, was rarely seen. Very few disciples in Dragon Palace could comprehend two types of the realm at the same time. The swordsmanship Jian Wushuang exhibited was obviously the sword essence of earth. Sword essence of gale converted perfectly to sword essence of earth. Sword edge swept Zhang Tao's sleeves and rolled up his robe. Zhang was defeated in this battle. Lose? Has Zhang Tao lost? The entire martial arts practice field went quiet. The Dragon Palace disciples were shocked. Some held contempt for Zhang Tao. Wang Yuan was amazed too. No one had expected this. A newcomer like Jian Wushuang could beat Zhang Tao. Only Jian Wushuang himself thought this was very normal. Relying on the perfectly converted sword essence of gale and sword essence of earth, I have fought for a long time at the 5th level. When I went through the Dragon Gate Pass, I improved my cultivation of these two sword essences after just 1 hour of learning Secret Land of Heaven and Earth. Now I'm confident I'll pass the 5th level. Zhang Tao, on the other hand, still has a way to go before reaching the 5th level. It is natural that I should beat him, I even didn't do my best. Jian Wushuang laughed at heart. True, he had not done his best. If he had, it would not have taken so long to beat Zhang Tao. Of course, he had his reasons for not doing his best from the beginning. Zhang Tao had a gloomy look on his face. He was in agony. He had lost indeed, and with so many people watching. He could not change it. He transferred 1,000 points to Jian Wushuang immediately. When he saw that his pledge number had reached 3,000, Jian Wushuang smiled and looked around. Is there anyone who wants to fight with me? He called out in a loud voice. Me. An ice-cold girl stepped forward. Although Jian Wushuang beating Zhang Tao was beyond the expectations of many people, it did not count for anything. After all, Zhang Tao had only broken through to the 4th level, and he was not the top among those who were at this level. A duel is still 1,000 points. Jian Wushuang said. Good. The girl did not hesitate. She shot at him directly. Swish. A fierce blade slashed straight out. The blade's extreme speed caused a glimmer of heat. Haha, come on. Jian Wushuang laughed loudly. He moved his sword in a counterattack stance. The girl had a high cultivation of blade essence of raging fire. She was close to the 5th level and even stronger than Zhang Tao. As she fought with Jian Wushuang, she soon discovered that Jian Wushuang not only had a strong ability using sword essence of gale, but also the sword essence of earth. Sometimes these two swordsmanships were very fast and smart, sometimes they were heavy as a mountain pressing overwhelmingly. Two great changes of the sword essence quickly suppressed her. The fight did not last long. This fight caused many disciples of Dragon Palace to sigh. If her cultivation of the blade essence of raging fire were higher, she would not have been suppressed, and she would have had a better chance of winning. Yeah, he was just a little stronger than her. Jian Wushuang was just slightly stronger than the girl, everyone could see it. Hence, the third challenger was ready to challenge. This challenger was much more powerful than the ice-cold girl. Everyone was expecting Jian Wushuang to be defeated in this fight. But the result was shocking. A narrow victory. The fight with the third challenger had lasted for nearly an hour. Jian Wushuang had finally obtained an extremely narrow victory. 3 consecutive fights had all been won. Jian Wushuang's points went from 2,000 to 5,000. The Dragon Palace disciples' expressions become a bit weird. They were not stupid. It was rather coincidental to win 3 fights in succession with such a trivial difference. Chapter 70. Chapter 70, Do Not Reject Anyone. He was victorious in all 3 battles, and all of them were narrow victories. What a lucky guy. This swordsman. Is he hiding his strength? Impossible. After all, he is just a newcomer. Those disciples of Dragon Palace knew that Jian Wushuang was only a newcomer who had passed the 4th level of Dragon Gate, therefore his strength should be very limited. However, they were very suspicious of him after he won these 3 consecutive battles, beating his opponents. A burly man came out among the crowd looking extremely domineering, wielding a thick broadsword. Lin Feng. Lin Feng came out. Disciples of Dragon Palace all looked at this burly man. Lin Feng, you have gone through the 5th level. Aren't you ashamed of challenging a newcomer? Wang Yuan fumed with a dark face. Although Jian Wushuang had defeated 3 challengers who were at the 4th level of the Dragon Gate, this burly man Lin Feng had passed the 5th level already. You are a swordsman. You should also have the strength to break through the 5th level. Why can't I challenge him? Lin Feng replied indifferently and his eyes looked to Jian Wushuang. Of course you can. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. To duel it is still 1,000 points. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. Be careful. Whoosh. Lin Feng crossed 10 meters instantly and appeared before Jian Wushuang. He swung his thick broadsword ferociously. A water drop essence erupted. All of a sudden Jian Wushuang felt like he had been plunged into a boundless sea with crashing waves. He was a lonely boat in the sea at risk of capsizing any time. Water drop essence? Jian Wushuang frowned, immediately berated in a low voice, I'll break it down. A strong sword light pierced out at an alarming rate, tearing down everything with its speed. The thick broadsword brought stacked waves covering everything. The sword light pierced several ripples by Jian Wushuang. The power was weakened to the extreme, but the thick broadsword continued to deliver its full force. Retreat. Jian Wushuang retreated without any delay, exerting the sword essence of earth at the same time. The best skill of sword essence of earth, thick and strong, was defense. Hua 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 hua. Lin Feng's broadsword domain erupted completely. A series of shadows split endlessly and it did not stop. Jian Wushuang felt lost as if he had plunged into a huge whirlpool. No matter how he struggled to resist, he could not get rid of it. He only relied on sword essence of earth to resist. Water drop essence. This is water drop essence? Jian Wushuang with a trace of horror. This was the first time he had fought with such a strong concentrated drip realm. He had a new appreciation towards this water drop essence. Water, the greatest power of water, despite it being seemingly weak and feeble, but it had the power to wear through boulders. After all, it is a lack of sword tactics of sword essence of earth. Otherwise I can fight with Lin Feng. Jian Wushuang sighed. His heart was yearning for formless sword wave. The swordsman is suppressed, he is finally suppressed. He will be defeated. It is normal. Lin Feng after all has passed the 5th level. The disciples of Dragon Palace around he saw the scene on the battlefield and all of them sighed. But at this moment, a sword shadow pierced out in a straight line, at incredible speed. It was the 3rd type of formless swordsmanship, expeditious maneuver. Logically, the 3rd type of formless swordsmanship was not a threat to Lin Feng, but once this sword shadow appeared, boom. It was an extremely forceful sword, its power unexpectedly soaring at this moment, almost directly defeating Lin Feng's offensive. The sharp sword shadow was more than a stroke crossing his shoulder. What? Still in shock, Lin Feng's clothes at his shoulder had been cut away. Jian Wushuang had still won this fight. What's the matter? Lost? How did he lose? This? Everyone around was confused. Lin Feng was so superior, completely suppressing Jian Wushuang. And he should have won immediately, but yet he had suddenly lost. Only Lin Feng himself barely knew the reasons for his loss. Strength, its strength. His power surged suddenly on that sword so that the power of his swordsmanship also rose sharply, tearing through everything directly. Lin Feng thought inwardly. But he was curious that Jian Wushuang was at spiritual sea realm like him. Why was his power so much stronger than his? He did not know that compared to ordinary martial warrior, the biggest advantage of Jian Wushuang was not his sword essence, nor swordsmanship, but cultivation method. He practiced the heavenly creation skill. He was an inverse cultivator who defied the natural order. Lin Feng's power was at the peak of ordinary spiritual sea realm, and Jian Wushuang at the peak of his spiritual outbreak, could compare to gold core. The spiritual power of gold core was far from spiritual sea realm. In the Dragon Palace, although there were numerous disciples, most of them were just as the spiritual sea realm. Only a handful of people could break through to reach gold core. All men defeated by Jian Wushuang were just at the spiritual sea realm, and he deliberately controlled his power to fight with them. However, Jian Wushuang had only broken out 30% power while facing Lin Feng. Although it had only been 30%, it was also stronger than the normal spiritual sea realm peak. So he defeated Lin Feng with one sword strike. Lin Feng defeated. Jian Wushuang got 1,000 points again. Who else wants to fight with me? Jian Wushuang looked around, but those disciples of the Dragon Palace were now hesitant. Before, everyone treated Jian Wushuang as a soft persimmon, and wanted to pinch and get points from him, but after these 4 showdowns, especially the fight with Lin Feng, they still did not know why Lin Feng failed in the end. They also realized that Jian Wushuang had hidden his real strength before, so now no one was willing to duel him. Watching this scene, Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes, but immediately laughed. Among disciples of the Dragon Palace, there are innumerable geniuses, so many people. Why is it so difficult to find someone to duel with me? Or are you reluctant to fight with me as I am just a newcomer? Well, among you, as long as you went through the 5th level, you can challenge me. I will not reject anyone. As for the bets, all will be 1,000 points. Do not reject anyone? Disciples of Dragon Palace around. He turned to a dark face. This swordsman, what a crazy guy. He even dares to say that he would not reject anyone, clearly looking down on the disciples who broke through the 5th level. I'll fight with you. Most of disciples of the Dragon Palace were infuriated by Jian Wushuang. A disciple who had broken through the 5th level came to fight with Jian Wushuang immediately. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.